Mics are live. You got it from here, right?
That's number one, right? Two?
Yeah, number one. Well, I could handle that. 30. Do the wide shot. I'm gonna run in there.
Okay.
Oh, I lost the timer. What is it, 7?
It's 12 o'clock.
It's 12 o'clock.
This is Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening ears,
Woo!
all nature sings and round us rings the music of the spheres.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School. We're broadcasting live from the Show Creators Studio in Las Vegas, Nevada. I feel like the last man on earth, except for, Reddy and Jera, because Michael Goudot is out doing a secret drone project, and Matt Donnelly is rushing here from the airport. He's just doing a gig with Piff. And here he is right now, your host, Penn Gillette, preaching love. Here I am preaching love.
I would have done that for you.
You would have done that?
Yeah.
You had it all in your head?
No.
All ready to go? You just made it up as you went? I got Reddy Rich sitting here with me. Now, you said that a lot of people were very bothered by my talk about hypocrisy.
Yeah, people are still very confused about that subject.
Well, I don't think I am, but I come off as confused. Is that right?
I don't think we come off confused.
Now, the problem is that I use the Republican senator example who does all anti-gay stuff, thinks gay sex is wrong, and then is having gay sex in a men's room, and he's caught.
Right.
And that is not hypocrisy
Correct.
at all, because he thinks he's sinning.
Yeah, he knows he's a sinner,
He hates himself for what he's doing.
doesn't want to be doing it, does it anyway.
Maybe he thinks the legislation would actually help him. If the legislation weren't there, he might be doing this terrible, sinful thing all the time.
Right.
That's what's confusing people when I say that.
No, I think they'll be confused anyway. I just think it's a really bad example. And
What is a good example?
Further confuses them.
What's a good example?
Boy, you put me on the spot there.
I have, yeah, I'm talking to you. If, see, the problem is that may be the problem.
That there's not a good example.
That in most cases of hypocrisy, when they're doing it, they believe what they're doing is wrong. Or when they say it, they believe they're lying.
I locked the door and Matt can't come in.
I see.
That's a trick.
But they is that the problem?
Yeah, even do as I say, not as I do. People are aware they're doing that. So it's still not hypocrisy.
Right. We're talking about hypocrisy, Matt Donnelly.
All right.
Matt Donnelly just arrived with a
Sounds
very
good.
luxurious beard.
I'm growing it out.
We're trying to get an example of hypocrisy, because people pointed out when they wrote in, you weren't here for the hypocrisy.
I wasn't, no.
No, so you're totally out of this.
Yeah.
You could turn that over.
But I'm going to speak like I'm an expert on it anyway. Is that hypocrisy?
No.
Okay.
Everybody goes crazy about hypocrisy.
Yes.
And they always think when they've busted somebody for hypocrisy that it's some sort of big, dramatic trick.
Yeah.
Like, aha, you say this, but aha, you do that.
All the things Trump bitched about Obama golfing, he goes golfing.
Yeah.
So they find his tweets about golfing, right?
Right.
Or different things like that. That's probably the big one that everybody...
That's a good book.
Those are good ones.
Those are good examples.
Yeah.
The example that I used was the example of like the Republican or conservative
Yeah.
anti-gay legislator
Right.
who then is having gay sex in a men's room.
Right.
And Reddy points out that that's not hypocrisy because he probably thinks when he's blowing the guy that what he's doing is wrong.
That's true. That's a good point, Reddy.
But
Whereas you and I...
Yeah.
Donald Trump,
Yeah.
Obama should not golf when he's president.
Yeah.
I'm going to golf all the time when I'm president.
Yeah.
Or put it another way, presidents shouldn't golf when they're president as much as Obama does.
Yes.
I'm going to golf more.
Yeah.
That is completely hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And in that case, I say what I said on the side of a Starbucks cup.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy doesn't bother me that much because if you say one thing and do another, you've doubled your chances of me agreeing with you.
Yes.
Now, in that particular case,
Yeah.
here's the problem. Once we get a good example, it's a really bad example for my argument. Because I don't care.
Right. And that's more of like, I think, for someone who wasn't here for this, we lack, like in the age of internet outrage, we lack degrees. We lack whatever. So like the thing that we just pointed out, like all of Trump's tweets that they said, well, in 2013 you tweet this and now you're doing this. You know, they're not wrong I don't think to point that out, but it's not a checkmate move. It's not worth like parading in the streets.
That's this whole thing about a checkmate move.
Yeah.
Checkmate moves break my heart. They just break my heart. I was listening to Ezra Klein and Sam Harris.
Yeah.
You know they had a bit of a dust-up.
I do now.
Sam Harris had on Murray, whatever his name is, who does the bell curve.
Yeah.
Talks about racial differences.
Okay.
Not racial differences, racial differences.
Doing seasons of Friends.
Yeah. and Ezra Klein,
Yeah.
who was editor of the magazine, whatever it is, took huge offense to that and called Sam Harris some sort of big racial apologizer type jive, right?
Uh-huh.
And then Sam Harris got really madder than a wet hen. And when Sam Harris gets mad, it's kind of funny
Sure.
because he meditates a lot.
Yeah.
So his kind of anger is a kind of anger like you know that he was put on this earth, Sam Harris,
Yeah.
to be a dick bully.
Yeah.
But he's meditated for 40 years of his life.
Yeah.
So he's got this mellow quality. And you know when a mellow quality is slapped on top of an angry guy? There gets a groove there.
Yeah.
He's really not an angry guy.
Right.
But you feel like God wanted him to be an angry guy.
Yes.
And he meditated it out of him and got rid of God.
Yeah.
So Sam Harris is this really gentle guy. But you see some pulsing problems.
Sure. You didn't see the Gary Shandling documentary.
I haven't yet.
But there's a neat thing about that where he got very into like trying to be Zen. He was meditating before it became mainstream at all. Mm-hmm. But the Sarah Silverman pointed out in the documentary that it wasn't that he was Zen, is that someone as damaged as him needed to constantly seek it to have any chance at functionality. Like, just needed to do it. I'm butchering. Sarah Silverman says it really articulately, but like, it's like Gary Shandling wasn't Zen, but he needed to try to find
Well,
it.
you know, it's also what you see, with John Lennon.
Yeah.
This super peacenik
Oh, yes.
who was, kicking people on and fighting every.
Might have gotten away with killing someone as a
possibly.
teen. He
No
might-
one knows.
No one knows.
But Stu Sutcliffe,
Yeah.
the original bass player for the Beatles,
yeah.
who was the one with the intellectual girlfriend,
Yeah.
who did the black turtlenecks and the haircuts. And
Yeah.
She had all these ideas, and he was the smart one in the Beatles.
Yeah.
There was some sort of fight that no one knows about. This is lost in the. When I can't describe accurately what happened to me last week,
Yeah.
I can't really blame people for not knowing what happened.
This fight in the parking lot in the late 40s or early 50s?
No, it would be in Hamburg in like 1960,
Yeah.
59, 60,
Oh, okay.
in a parking lot in Hamburg.
Okay.
Stu Sutcliffe was in a fight,
Yeah.
and he was down on the ground, and there were a bunch of toughs kicking him in the head with boots. One of those people kicking him was John Lennon. Now, if John Lennon kicked him in the nutsack, innocent. Kicked him in the shoulder, innocent.
Right.
John Lennon kicked him in the head, we don't know. Might be guilty. But after that,
Yeah.
Stu Sutcliffe had signs of like a brain tumor,
Yeah.
which now people look back and go, he didn't have a brain tumor, they kicked him in the fucking head.
Right.
And Stu Sutcliffe went crazy and then died, right? And hence, the smart Beatle died,
Yeah.
and there was nothing in their way of stardom.
I mean,
But a man who sings the song, I used to be cruel to my woman. I beat her and kept her apart from the things that she loved. Man, I was mean, but I'm changing my scene and I'm doing the best that I can. I admit it's getting better. Now, I assume that's a John Lennon song. Maybe someone will bust me on that. But if I wanted to have that transformational scene, like now I'm a mellow kind guy,
Yeah.
I'd be able to say, I used to say angry things to people sometimes that were too mean. I used to make jokes that were inappropriate. But man, I was mean, but I'm changing my scene.
You wouldn't go to that lyric, is what you're saying.
I'm just saying I couldn't report it accurately. I could report accurately that I've never hit anybody in anger.
Right.
Never hit anybody in anger ever.
But clumsily, I mean,
Clumsily, yes.
dozens, if not hundreds.
Yes. Oh yeah. I brought my elbow back.
Like haphazard violence. I mean, you're up there.
There was an awful thing that
Yeah.
there's no reason to tell this to anybody, which is why I'm doing it on the podcast. I was working in the residence mole show,
Uh-huh.
and there was this guy named Paul something, probably best I remember his name. He was a small fellow,
Yeah.
and everybody was annoyed by him. Okay?
Okay.
Everybody
Yeah.
really disliked him. And the mole show was a very odd show.
Mm-hmm.
The mole show, I was the narrator, and I was getting out of hand. The Residents are an avant-garde band from San Francisco, and they're anonymous. So they're all in eyeball heads, and no one knows who they are.
Yeah.
And I was there being the straight man, the asshole, who didn't understand the avant-garde music,
Yeah.
who was guiding the show, right, along. And I was getting further and further out of control with what the Residents wanted. And the stage manager came out to have an argument with me, right?
While the show was going on?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, this is part of the show.
that's part of the show.
It is the show.
See, already they're operating on a level for me.
Yeah. It's
I
the whole
can't.
plot. The plot of the show was the narrator's getting out of control.
Yeah.
Stage manager comes out to reprimand him. Finally, they subdue the narrator,
control, yeah.
me,
Yeah.
put me in a wheelchair, handcuffed into a wheelchair. And then I have to finish the rest of the show while they dance with me in the wheelchair. Right? That's what happened every night.
Okay.
And it started out with me being this guy. So, this is a horrible story. So there was a moment in the show where the stage manager came out, okay, and he would reprimand me, and then I would haul off,
Yeah.
and I would hit him in the face, okay, and the stage manager would stand there,
Yeah.
and I would say, "Don't move your head at all. I'm going to come around really fast, and then when I come by you, just fall back, and there'll be a good 6 to 8 inches between my fist and your face, and if you fall back hard enough."
How old are you? This has to be younger.
This is 1980.
Okay. I'm laughing because like this is so refreshing to hear. Like, we give ourselves in entertainment an expertise that we don't have sometimes. Like you just choreographed this on your own.
Yeah.
How much stage combat had you figured out before this moment?
Oh, none.
That's what I mean. Where you're like, here's what's gonna happen. Trust me. Why? We have no reason to. We're dealing with a hypothesis at best.
But for 25 shows,
Yeah.
this moment worked
It
perfectly.
worked. Okay, so that's science. That's beyond hypothesis.
Perfectly.
To be fair, you had actually been hit at this point in your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just wondering. I like the whole like, trust me, I got this. You know, like first person to raise their hand as like that's it. Like that's the expertise.
You're right. So, and then he would fall back, and it was a good moment. Remember that the music's playing really loud. So,
Yeah. So you don't need any kind of.
and we're turning. I'm kind of back toward the. You can't see where the hit is.
Yeah.
So the guy that everybody hates, the stage manager, is unable to make one show. And the guy that everyone hates is going to fill in for the stage manager. Okay?
Yeah.
I've been doing it 25 times. I've got it solid. I say to him, stand where you're going to stand. I'll bring my hand up. I'll know where your face is. I'll come back. I will swing really hard.
Yeah.
And do not lean forward. I'll meet you from 6 inches to a foot. I will miss you by that much. The hand will swing by you. You just run back and fall. It's a great moment. You didn't have to fall, just stumble back.
And he's like, great, let's rehearse this a couple times.
Yes. And we did.
Oh, good.
We ran through it a couple times. I said, just don't lean. Now, he was a very, very unpleasant person.
What, just in a word, what made him, what was his unpleasant flaw?
Without getting ethnic?
Now we shouldn't have told the story.
No. His unpleasant flaw, his unpleasant flaw was know-it-all, bossy, aggressive, mean,
Okay.
complaining.
All right.
So when I said, let's rehearse it a couple times, he said, I've got it. I said, well, let's just run through it once or twice. He said, I can do it. I said, listen, you understand? He goes, I know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I go, well, let's do it. Let's do it. I won't do it full out tonight. And then if you have to do another couple nights, we'll do a little bit more. He said, no, I know. I'm not stupid.
Whoa.
So I went out that night. Remember, it's not that there's a little bit of animosity between him and everybody else.
Yeah.
Every crew member, every band member, everything hates him. And the road manager is conspiring to get him fired and off the show.
Yeah.
Everybody dislikes him. I have been arguing a little bit that we can adjust to him. He's okay.
Yeah.
Comes out to the show that night. He says right before we go on, don't hold back. I can do it. Do it full on, right? So I come back to here. I bring my fist around. And he, in his nervousness, must have, because I'm looking away, take a full step forward. I connect right on the jaw.
Oh.
With as hard a punch as I can throw.
Mm-hmm.
It lifts him right off the stage and knocks him down on his ass.
Wow.
It is powerful. The audience has a nice reaction.
Good.
The band, who are completely anonymous with big things over their heads, cheer. They are thrilled to pieces. The light guy cheers. Everybody had heard the conversation about, I don't have to rehearse this.
Yeah.
Everybody is deliriously happy. He is even, to his great credit, could not have been a better person.
Yeah.
He says, I made a mistake.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't even blame me.
So he took it on the chin and took it on the chin.
Yes. But then I deal with the rest of the tour, every single person congratulating me.
Oh.
Saying, oh, you smashed him right in the face. It was an accident. It was a mistake. Oh, yeah, I know. We all hated him. We all wanted to do that, and you didn't.
You couldn't.
No, I didn't do that. Well, yes, you did. I saw you knock him right at his ass. It was really horrible.
Yeah.
It was really, really horrible, you know.
For the rest of the tour, if anyone else was getting out of line, they'd be like, Penn will deck you. You better watch out.
We'll put you in the part of stage
We'll
manager.
put you in the part of stage manager, and then it's over.
Have you gone on stage? You know, you walk in the Waffle House with a gun, he'll take care of you. He's our hero on this show. It was awful. But there is this quality
Yeah.
that people who have had... Do you have any sort of violent past?
I went through an angry, like, as a child, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to, I always said that comedy kind of prevented me from being a total psychotic asshole.
Uh-huh.
It's like when you say those John Lennon stories, I kind of go like, oh, that could have been me. As an angry child, you know, into early teens, you could like point at someone and say, hey, that guy said something about your mom. And I would just take that as fact and I would go get in that guy's face.
And that's something that I was talking to Robbie about the other day.
Yeah.
He said something about your mom. That's automatically fighting words, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to defend your mom.
Yeah.
I suppose I see that.
Yeah.
Kinda.
For me, it was a particular thing, but
Because your mom died.
dead.
She died.
She was so dead at that time.
So if they said your mom's a slut,
Yeah.
you would say, "Oh, are they digging her up?"
Who books that?
I was gonna say, there's definitely a time in my life where I do say that, but not then. You know, but that was it. I was angry about stuff. It could have been about anything. You know, said something about your brother. Said something, you know, whatever. You know, said you're a dipshit. Whatever. I could.
But you got into fights.
Yeah, I would go
You
get
hit
in someone's face. Yeah.
And you would get into fights for honor?
Yeah, righting some wrong or something. Yeah.
But
really, just weak cases. You know, and if playgrounds had courts, it would be thrown right out. I would need like the best lawyer in the world to maintain my case of my honor
if
defending.
playgrounds had courts, things would be better.
You just lost every libertarian.
I don't mean government courts.
Privately run playground courts.
I think I've seen that episode of Our Gang.
Yeah, that is an our gang kind of thing, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah. But there is a kind of person
Yeah.
who speaks of peace and gentleness because they need it so badly,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
And I'm always, it's almost like a flag goes up when that kind of, there's a kind of macho gentle.
And I think you see that in leadership. You talk about the hypocrisy of government officials, that like something that pushes you towards those things. I think like that's why I think when we see the example you brought up of like the closeted gay behavior, something like that makes total sense that they would find a way to like rally against the cause or something like that. That something would drive them. I think it's very connected to Lenin speaking of peace.
And it may also be...
And doing heroin at the amounts that he did.
It may also be, in a certain sense, logical.
Yeah.
You know, I had a friend who was very, very pro gun control.
Yeah.
Very pro gun control. And outspoken about gun control. And we argued about it back and forth. And I finally asked him one simple question, which is, if you had had a gun, concealed gun carry permit on your person for your whole life up until now, would you have shot someone? And his answer was, after some soul searching,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I've heard this before. You say this off air, and I believe I fit in that same category. And not that I'm outspoken for gun control, but I personally don't want guns in my life. Like I don't have them. It's a personal choice.
Well, I don't like to carry anything.
Yeah.
So gun to me is the same as comb.
You just don't want it.
I don't want a comb. And also guns are heavy and they have to be maintained. But I feel very sure that if I had had a gun in my hand my entire life, I would never have fired it.
Yeah. I had a situation just
I'm not
recently.
saying any of this is true.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's my
That's where your
feeling about myself.
current compass points to. I had a situation with a neighbor where I was like, man, I'm glad I don't have a gun, and I hope he doesn't have one. Just very recently.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the altercation over?
So I put out traffic cones in my street when my kids are playing because I have two blind kind of like bends. Like I live on the high end of a bend.
So both your sons are named Ben and they're blind?
Yes, and which makes it very difficult to keep track of them in the street.
Ben, look out! Oh, they're both...
No, they're both Ben. Ben won. Oh, I know you hate when I say that. And our neighbor doesn't have gates or speed bumps or anything like that, and so sometimes people come around too fast. And so even though it's against HOA code to stick traffic cones out on the thing, I'd rather risk the HOA notice than my kid getting hit by a car. So I still put the cones up.
Where'd you get the traffic cones?
Home Depot.
You can buy full size?
Yeah.
Are they those little creepy ones?
No, I went for big ones because I was really annoyed.
I don't like, I'll tell you, traffic cones that are full size and orange and thick and rich.
Yeah, and they're like
I love those traffic cones.
and they kind of like bend in your hand when you grab them, and they're heavy on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the little plastic traffic cones that look like little hats,
That's
like Devo is buried up to the top of their head.
Like it came in like all like your first like I got a flat tire at night road kits.
Oh,
those bad little plastic.
I hate those. I hate those because there's something so sensual and fulfilling about a full-size road cone.
Yeah, and whatever that material is, though, I can't. It's not rubber,
neoprene.
but it's like it's a fine.
Neoprene is not what it is, but that's the right kind of word. Isn't it the right kind of word?
It is.
We want a word like that, for sure. Yeah, I got
We
the
want
real
a
deal.
word very close to neoprene.
Because basically there was a couple like
Boy, neoprene's a good word.
yeah. No debate on that.
Okay, good.
If we went to playground court, the jury would just rejoice. Neoprene cones. Yeah. So
And berming. You like
yeah.
the term? We like the word berm.
I do like the word berm as well.
Berm is a good word too.
And we, after a couple like people not paying attention, they're on their phones or whatever. But a couple like like not screeching stops, but a couple like dramatic stops while my kids are around. So I went out and got cones, and I have a neighbor who just hates that I have cones. Just hates that I have cones.
Is this jealousy?
I don't know. You want to talk about ethnic judgment?
What is it? What does a cone cost?
He is German, and he hates that it's against the rules that I'm breaking the rules to protect my kids.
What is how much does the cone cost?
I think they're like a good one. I think it's like $20 or $25.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
I think I want one.
Yeah.
Did you stencil anything on it?
I didn't stencil anything on it. I bought stuff to like possibly make signs to be even more dramatic. If the cones didn't work, I was willing to go more dramatic because it's not. There's multiple kids right in my little area, so a total of 8 children will be playing just in my little 4-house radius of across the street of me and my neighbors and stuff, and cars come wheeling around both directions in a way that you can't see until it's close.
To play.
Go ahead.
To play a devil's advocate.
You should.
Achtung. Might it be a bad idea for your children to play in the street?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's definitely a big argument there. I don't have a backyard that is playable. Like bikes you can't do anything with bikes in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where. I don't know if I want to make only my kids go to a park to ride a bike. I don't know. Little tricycles, little big wheels, things like that. They just want to roll around. So I don't know. I think ultimately in a neighborhood with a bunch of kids in it, kids should be able to you should be anticipating kids playing in the street with toys. That's what I think.
Okay.
That's my big argument there.
Very urban of you.
Yeah.
So you put the cones out. How were the cones put out?
I put them in the middle of the street. Like if there were a line in the street, I put the cone in the middle of the street.
You have 2 of these cones.
I have 2.
One on either side.
Yes.
Where you think they would.
Yeah.
And how do the motorists react to these cones?
Most of them stop and slow down and look for kids. It works great.
They know instinctively this is about kids.
Well, because they're
not like the earth is opening up. And
yeah, they don't think construction's happening. They don't think whatever. Yeah, it's just it's one cone. It's just there to kind of make you like, oh, something might be happening. Hey, it worked very well. As I just said, I was prepared.
And that nice, rich orange.
It's a great orange. I mean, it's just like so. Even if the sun is setting, you kind of get like you still get a nice, almost glow. It's a perfect orange.
One thing.
Yeah.
For all United States mistakes, I'm talking about Native Americans and reservations, slavery. We kind of did cones right.
Yeah, Guantanamo. Yeah, we got a couple things right too.
And the plus column.
Yeah.
Cones.
Being able to buy forever value stamps. No, I'm kidding. But as I pointed out to Reddy, I was ready to take this to another level. So if the cones weren't effective, I was going to do something that was effective. Right. So I was going to make more dramatic than so this is why I'm all glad. So I have one neighbor. Even one time, the guy even stopped and he was in the HOA and was like, you have beautiful children. And I was like, thank you. So I was like, we're meeting neighbors via these cones. It's net positive It was a fine move. I'm very happy about it.
What were you
All
gonna
your
write?
idea?
Huh?
What were we going to write?
It's just kids at play or something like that.
Metro Police Department?
No. I definitely, people sent me stuff, because I've talked about it on Ice Cream Social. People have sent me stuff like how to build a fake traffic camera, like a speed camera. If you just put like a camera in a box, it looks like it's going to track speed. That makes people slow down. You know, it's definitely like, two wrongs make a right or whatever. But the wrong of speeding through a neighborhood with children, I think, is more egregious than putting cones out in the middle of the street, which is taking the law into your own hands. I get it.
So you got vigilante justice.
I do. I definitely have vigilante justice.
Death wish.
So now you understand why I'm glad I don't own a gun, right?
No, I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
Traffic
Because your
cone
cones
rebel.
seem fine.
This guy is coming, and he sees cones, and he purposely refuses to slow down. As soon as he sees his cones, he maintains his speed, no matter how many children are around, and barges right through every time. Won't even slow down. Won't tap the brake.
Same guy?
Same guy.
He lives in the neighborhood.
Yes. And at first, you're going through like, did that guy not slow down? You kind of like try to confirm this. And we don't do this every day. We just do this, on occasional nice days. So it took a while to kind of gather data. And it finally was a neighbor who was out. I was inside. A neighbor was out who said like he basically tried to like slow down, and the guy just yelled no cones at him as he passed. So he confirmed our fears, which we were not sure if that was the case or not.
He yelled no cones?
No cones. Like that.
Does he have a German
He
accent?
does.
This is probably one of the greatest stories ever. No cones!
No cones.
No cones!
Yeah. So, so finally one day I'm in the neighborhood and I watch the no stopping thing, and I watch him almost, basically like almost, he basically didn't slow down at all, and there were kids like by the sidewalk. It was in my mind a closer call than I was comfortable with, and so I followed him. I went down to his house.
In a car?
No, he's a neighbor.
You know where he lives?
Yeah. So I just hustled down to it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And I start yelling like, "Hey!"
Tell me more about this guy.
He's tall. He's a tall fella. He's a German guy. He drives a big old truck, big old Ford, big jalopy of a truck, and he's yeah. I mean
Your age?
Yeah. Yes. I'd say about my age.
So this isn't like old bum fight like
No.
Biden and Trump.
No. But I'm going towards him, and I start yelling at him, and he ignores me and goes into his house.
You like that? You like being ignored when you're yelling at somebody?
This is so I yeah, exactly. I love being ignored.
When you're yelling, protecting your children, being ignored is your favorite thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I knock on his door probably 40 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't going away.
Now, how is it? It's not.
No.
It's not that.
No. It's more like, and then ding dong, and then ding dong, ding dong, for like 5 minutes.
Good. And
this is what I'm thinking. Like, I'm glad I don't have a gun in this situation because I'm really angry.
As much as you like being ignored,
Yeah.
he loves a guy banging at his door, ringing his bell for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That brings a sense of peace.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He just put him right to sleep. Post work nap.
They sell recordings.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of like.
I have for my kids. I have like a sound machine.
Yeah.
One's just angry neighbor.
Yeah. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
Angry neighbor.
And
at
then
the
there's
door.
a little bit of wind chimes.
It's the button right next to Hornet's Nest.
Yeah. I used to- yeah. Or like fly coming uncomfortably close to your ear and then going away again.
Silverback gorilla.
Is that
So he finally comes to the door.
is that a plumbing problem I can't fix? So I leave a note on the
he never
windshield.
comes to the
No,
door.
he never comes to the
Even
door.
though you know he's home.
Yeah, we both know what's going on, and this is why I'm glad we both don't have guns. Because I feel like in this situation, easily, like I talk about how to bring my kids to Chuck E. Cheese, and then people like to send me videos on Twitter of like people getting in fights at Chuck E. Cheese, and I always write back like that's probably where I'd get in a fight. Like I wouldn't get in a fight. Me out and about, I'm not. It's very unlikely I'm gonna get in a fight. You messing with my kid, it's very possible I'm going to get in a fight.
Also, Chuck E. Cheese, when I would go there with my children, I would think, I've been to USAMRIID studying weaponized diseases. I have been to a bathhouse in San Francisco when patient zero, within a week of patient zero being there, watching sex acts between men when they had no fear of anything. I have watched fluids of all kinds exchanging from person to person. But Chuck E. Cheese, those rides, you just look and go, how does anyone survive?
I would Seventh-day Adventists are like, Chuck E. Cheese?
Exactly. We'll go on the 8-ball.
We'll get back in there.
Yeah, you could do. We'll try anything. But somehow we make it through. And the children are grabbing the steering wheel.
Everything, and they're definitely eating and playing.
And fingers in the nose.
They're not like
and eyes.
They're not like it's not like they're just a playground. But like they're making sure that they're constantly shoving food in their mouth and then playing.
There's this wonderful, wonderful moment that happens in your children growing up that I think should be bigger than baby's first. Baby's first step. Baby's first bicycle. Baby's first register of disgust is the greatest thing in the world. Oh, you no longer want to lick the public urinal. Good.
I'm still waiting for that to happen with my kids, but yeah.
It's a great moment when they go, ugh. Then, of course, it goes too far.
Yes.
It's
but
like,
still,
that potato is not the right shape.
These aren't the same brand.
And you want to go,
crackers.
Listen, that potato at that shape is nothing like when you were licking the asshole of a sick kid.
At Chuck E. Cheese.
At Chuck E. Cheese. So you're at Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh no. No. I was saying that as an example of like that's probably where I would get in a fight. But for the neighbor, I left a note on the door, and then he comes down next day. Well, next day we're just out in the street, and I'm waiting for him to come by.
So he spent a day to gather his.
The note, I should say, I did not curse or threaten.
Let's hear the note.
It's been a week now, so I'm trying to remember.
Let's hear the note.
It was.
We trust you,
This is only a week?
Please, is this like a week or 2 weeks? Yeah.
Let's hear the note.
Yeah, so it basically says like, because I haven't been here. I haven't been here at Penn Sunday School for the last 2 weeks. Please slow down real big. It's a legal pad of paper.
Salutation?
Yellow. Salutation? No salutation. He knows. We know who each other is.
Big yellow legal pad?
Big yellow legal pad.
Okay.
Horizontal.
Yep.
Big. Slow down.
What are you writing with?
Sharpie.
Okay. Fat
Sharpie, yeah.
The blood shooting out of his eyes.
That's the ink I'm using.
Please slow down.
Yeah.
First word of this note, by the way, is please.
Yeah. And then I write, you're going to kill a child. I will call the police. That's the note.
Now, does that imply you will call the police if he just keeps going fast, or you call the police when he kills a child?
I didn't think it through.
Okay.
That's a good point. I'm going to write a clarifying note. Just want to clear up one possible misunderstanding. Ding dong. I will probably get the police involved pre-murder.
Please was not meant ironically, nor was it completely sincere.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So like, you talk about the Sam Harris thing. It's like I want to not be angry as I'm doing this, but like the blood is boiling in me, It's like as I'm doing it, I'm like, don't, easy, Donnelly. Like there's definitely a voice in there that's like, Matt.
Well, see, right
Matt,
now,
Matt.
you've got a baseball hat on, and your red beard is like pushing. You look,
I have inches of red beard.
yeah, and it's also a little wild.
Yeah.
It looks a little like your, if we were having a movie,
Yeah.
you could be the guy in the front of the crowd going, let's get him!
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it's not like. Yeah, I have tall, crazy German neighbor, but I don't hold up the other end as like normalcy.
No, you don't.
It's just
It's
if anyone
not like-
anyone else comes out the door of their yard, they go like two crazy people are talking.
Right. Because you don't look like, if you look like Matt King,
Yeah,
Matt King, small glasses,
yeah, clean shaven,
yeah.
well spoken.
walking over,
Yeah.
that's a different thing. But we, without a program,
No.
we do not know the players in this country.
No, exactly.
It's kind of the first guy in line behind the main bad guy.
Yeah.
Steven Seagal film.
Sure.
A lot of
Chief
extra,
goon. I'm a goon of ranking.
a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any lines.
No.
But you're in every shot
Yeah.
where Sylvester Stallone
Man,
is yelling
yeah.
something.
I paint
You're
it.
there in the
I
background.
paint that picture.
Yeah.
And you're going to get hit by a pool ball.
After getting a few licks in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to get blindsided. But yeah. So next day he comes down the street. I'm waiting for him, pretending like I'm watching children play. I'm just curious if he's going to respond to the note.
He comes down the street in his car or walking?
Car.
Yeah.
Does not slow down. Speeds right over the cone, and then
Right around, not over the cone.
not over the cone.
That's a whole other thing.
And then stops after. Like he had to make sure that he illustrated that he was not stopping for the cone.
Mm-hmm.
He had to make sure that he sped through the cone, stopped. And it's my next door neighbor and I have taken this guy on separately. He takes a photo of my neighbor's car and his house. Then he backs up and takes a photo of my car and my house. And then he looks over to me and I obnoxiously, with the most sarcastic look on my face, pretend to shake in my boots.
Beg pardon?
I mock, go, oh no. And then I take out my phone and take a picture of his truck and walk down to his house and take a picture of his house as he pulls in the driveway.
Oh, he's coming home then.
Yeah.
You know when he comes home is a rule.
Yes.
You know when he gets
Yeah, exactly.
You know what he does for a job?
Nope.
Good. That's where we were about to cross the line with you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is like we're all neighbors. It's we own our houses. It's weird.
Did you think about changing into sneakers, putting on a sweater, and going over and say, "Hi, neighbor"?
Oh, hey. Just combing my beard to a sizable altitude.
So you, the story still continues?
Then he finally gets out of his truck to talk.
Uh-huh.
And I honestly want to hear him out. But I'm not the only one involved in the situation. I have other neighbors.
I just want to hear. Do you believe that?
No, not at all.
Okay, not me neither.
I'm absolutely willing to hear him out.
Okay, that's a little closer. Still not believing it. Try again.
He better say something to me.
New choice.
He better run.
I'm on now.
No, I honestly, the Sam Harris voice in my head is like, like let's have a conversation about this, and also because like we're neighbors, we own our homes. Like if it escalates in another direction, it's just torture. Then like how do we sleep at night, right? So it's just like we better get some conversation in, or it's just going to be horrible. But he gets berated by my neighbors, and he walks back inside his house.
Does he say anything?
No,
Not a word.
no.
What do the neighbors say?
They said, like, do you care about children? Do you want to kill children? Why? And he said, and he literally said, there's no cones. And then he went inside his house.
He says no cones?
Yeah.
That's all he can
That's
say.
his whole thing. He just hates cones.
Yeah.
And then
You think it's the what they mean traffic-wise or just the actual geometric shape?
like as if you see somebody eating an ice cream cone, he just drops the lead, just puts the pedal to the metal when he sees
No
somebody.
cones.
No cones.
Get a dish and a little spoon.
Eat out
and
of
it won't drip over your hand.
But yeah,
Geldof.
yeah.
No cones.
Yeah.
Get a proper hat, Geldof.
And then since then, I've just been traveling a ton, and so there's no other episodes of the cone guy. I don't know where we stand.
Now, are you always in charge of putting out the cones?
No,
Where are the cones stored?
in my garage.
But other people go in your garage and get them?
Yeah,
Neighbors.
neighbors. Yeah, we open up a garage. If Sarah's home, she opens up the garage. Heck, we all let our kids play with each other's toys and stuff like that. Yeah.
Has Sarah ever put out the cones?
Sarah puts out the cones.
My wife put out those cones. Ever thought about saying that?
My wife worked hard on putting out those cones.
Those cones are heavy.
They are.
Have a nice weight.
Yeah. Yeah. And they got like it's got like a footprint.
You want any advice from me?
Yeah.
My advice to you,
Yeah.
probably not what other people would do.
Yeah.
I would walk over to his house with a cone. I would say to him, look at this cone. Has a nice, squishy feeling, and yet it's substantial.
Yeah.
The combination of squishy and substantial is very rare.
Yeah.
This has some of the qualities of the best body you ever had sex with in a woman. Structural integrity with a little bit of give. Isn't that all you want? My cone has this. Let me tell you something. I will let you go in my garage anytime you want
Yeah.
and carry that cone out. Either the children don't need it. You can just carry it around. Enjoy its pure Trumpian orange flesh. Enjoy its give. And notice it's neoprene. He would say, it's not neoprene.
Yeah.
You'd say, I know,
I know.
but it's close. That's close to the right word, isn't it?
Gift him a set with his name stenciled on.
Oh, that's nice. I'll do that.
Cone guy, $40.
That would facilitate a very different conversation, and probably better than the one I'm facilitating with him right now.
Where are you going to go? What's the next salvo fired from the Donnelly household?
Well, here's the thing. I am actually trying to get in his head, like, to meet him halfway. And since then, I've adjusted. I don't put the cones out in the middle of the street to create like a general warning of like slow down, but I should just put the cones in front of my driveway a couple of feet out, which will make you have to swerve around. But now you're not. It has the same effect of protecting the kids, and then we'll do whatever. And
He's
then
going to replace the cones with mirror balls and play bad electronica music to meet him halfway.
Does this gentleman have children?
no.
What is this gentleman's lifestyle?
I don't know. I've only seen him come home and then leave. He's never like walked the neighborhood or anything like that.
What kind of house?
It's a good house. It's a good sized house. Probably looking at like a 3-bedroom, 2-car garage house.
Does he live alone?
It seems like he lives alone.
What's he doing in there?
I'm curious. Yeah.
What's he doing in there?
I don't know.
He gets a lot of mail. Doesn't have any friends. What's he doing in there?
You are going to turn me the neighbor of like, get him.
He's building something. Certainly isn't a playground for the neighborhood children. What's he building in there?
He's not even from here.
I was so worried that, one of the ways this could go, which would be my nightmare, is that I end up like trying to either petition or run for the HOA. That's where I'm worried the most.
Is he in the HOA?
No, but he's trying to report us to the HOA. And it's more like, It's like the way to like fight it if we start getting notified by the HOA is to like either try to get the rules changed.
But this
to
is
allow
not
what
a
we're doing.
private road.
No.
Yeah. I believe you are completely and utterly in the wrong.
Right.
I don't believe you're allowed to put traffic cones out on a public street.
Yeah. That's probably true.
So while we're listening to this story,
Yeah.
let's remember that the person who we love and we're listening to is the villain. If anyone has done anything illegal, it's you. Does he go faster than the speed limit?
Yes.
Okay, two villains fighting it out.
So we've come around full circle to an example of hypocrisy.
Yes,
Finally.
explain.
His position is, I am going to break the rules to show this other guy that breaking the rules is wrong.
Yeah. And I know I'm doing that, which is why I'm not like I'm just presenting my thought process. I'm not trying to bring this to playground court. I know I would probably lose in playground court. But I just can't help it.
So Sam Harris
Yeah.
is arguing with Ezra Klein.
Yes.
And his argument is essentially, to sum up Sam Harris is probably
Dangerous.
beyond me.
Yeah.
But I'll try my best. In this one area, Sam Harris is saying, what if scientific knowledge goes against political correctness and identity politics? Do we no longer report it? Is our duty to science or is our duty to social? Right? That's his question.
Yeah.
And then he has this argument, right? Which is a few years ago it came out that humans interbred with Neanderthals, right?
Yeah.
And that we have 2%, the average person has 2% Neanderthal genes in them,
Yeah.
okay? That's a big deal. So 2% of us are not human. We're another species. We were able to mate and have children with Neanderthals.
Look to your left. Look to your right.
Now we probably was us, human beings, made Neanderthals extinct.
Right.
Okay. Now, all the people on planet Earth have 2% Neanderthal genes, except Africans,
Okay.
who have 0 Neanderthal genes.
Okay.
Sam Harris says 6 times during the argument. That was reported in Science. I went right on Twitter and said, hey, you white supremacists, what are you going to do about this? Blacks are the only one without Neanderthal genes. Ha, 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 ha. And then he says, in his incisive attack, he says, but if it had gone the other way,
Uh-oh.
and only Africans had Neanderthal genes, would you have wished we did not report it? To which Ezra says, well, when you were saying about identity politics being on the other side, it's also on your side. Conversation goes on. Several years ago, they came out with a study that said 2% of the people of the world, 2% of the DNA of the people in the world was Neanderthal. The only people that didn't have that was Africa. If that had been the other way, would you have wanted it reported? And Ezra goes, it comes down to you and this other guy are a couple of white guys complaining about why the identity politics. And you can hear him, because when he was in his shower
Yeah.
and he's soaping up his nuts, he's thinking, this Neanderthal argument,
Boom. Boom.
done. Perry Mason, slam dunk. I'm done.
Checkmate.
And I say it. And he gets nothing. And I realized hearing him do this that you never get that. As a matter of fact, that might be one of the reasons TV exists. I was once deposed
Yeah.
in a court case, and it was a person who had offered money on the radio to have me killed.
Right.
and then they had gotten fired. And they were complaining that, which I didn't, but they had thought, they manufactured that I had gotten them
Pulled
fired
those strings,
for what they said. It was very complicated, but I didn't. I'm the only one that knows that and can prove it, but I didn't do anything to get them fired. I tried to get them to keep their jobs. I didn't want them fired because I didn't want the press going, guy fired for saying he killed Penn Jillette. I just didn't want that in the press. But I lost. But he says, his point is, everybody knew that he was joking. He's a morning DJ saying, I'll give $2,000 to anyone that kills Penn Jillette, $3,000 if they make it hurt. That's what he said on his show.
Right.
And the other people around him agreed. Right? Yeah, we should do that. Let's give $2,000 to anyone that kills Penn Jillette. Right? It goes around.
Yeah.
And their contention was that anybody, especially someone like me, would know that was a joke.
Right.
Okay? So he said to me, remember you're under oath. Did anyone ever say seriously to you that that was a threat against your life? Okay. And I said, he said, without laughing,
Yeah.
I said, 3 hours ago in this deposition, you asked me what happened on whatever the date was, May 20th. And I said, I don't remember that day. And you said, that's the day that he threatened to have you killed. And I said, oh, that's right. And I said, I think the court record will show that no one in the room laughed. And that you didn't say pretended to have you killed.
Yeah.
You just stated it outright. When I said that,
Ooh.
I was so sure, so positive.
Drop the hammer.
Everybody in the room would go like, whoa, yeah, he pointed that out to us. We now understand. You win, Penn Jillette. Let's all go out and have some fish sticks. That's what I thought was going to happen. Didn't happen.
No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Sure. That's what
Who else?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this with you regularly for some reason get asked to debate. People specifically use that word with you. Hey, Penn, I'd like to debate you about blank.
Yeah.
Which is a strange thing. No one asks me to debate anything.
I get that all the time.
You get it all the time. And I did debate in high school, a formal activity of debate. When you lose the debate through judgment, you don't feel different about the subject. Like, the person who loses the debate doesn't go, aha, okay, the judges have sided with them. I now change my mind forever. When you lose a debate...
Now Ireland should be free.
Exactly. America is a mosaic and not a melting pot.
Well, let's go to, debate. One of the reasons I don't like debate
Yeah.
is that it's sports,
Right.
and I don't like sports.
Yeah.
But in sports, when the Golden Knights win,
Yeah.
does the other team go in the locker room and go, guess they're better?
Sometimes, and it's often at least like very much a cliche of the other coach during a final game. So if they lose best of 7, it's very cliche for the coach of the losing team to be like, it was a tough series and a couple things could have gone our way, but you know what? Hats off to them. I think the better team won. We wish them the best of luck. It's like that's very common.
They say that in public?
Yeah, it's in the press conference after the thing. So in the locker room, are they saying that? Are they saying it to their wife or their best friend? I don't think so.
Well, that's the thing. I would never want to be
Yeah.
in a situation where things were objective, where lying to yourself became more difficult. And that may be what I dislike about sports. The reason that David Copperfield makes $50 million a year
Yeah.
and Penn and Teller, don't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons for that are not objective. The room for self-delusion
Yeah.
is very, very, very wide.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room for that. But when you're talking about, like, basketball,
Yeah.
he ran faster than me and put the ball through the hoop better than me.
Yep.
Really hard to spin that. If you want to judge basketball
Yeah.
by how many points the other team got, then I suppose they won. if that's your limited view.
I would love for a coach's press conference to do that, you know? Like, to me, basketball is a game of beauty, and I thought we accomplished a much more beautiful game than the other team.
There were times
Yeah.
when we looked like we were flying.
Yeah.
There was teamwork we did
Yeah.
so far beyond the other team.
There was a connectedness amongst all 5 players on the floor that the other team did not share.
Did their team put more baskets through their hoop
Yeah.
than we did? Yes. But can we get beyond that? Is that all basketball is supposed to be? Is that all basketball is supposed to be? Because I don't think so.
No.
I do not think so. I do not have that crude view of basketball that the score that you see before you, 84-2,
Yeah.
tells the whole story.
In fact, if I could look out into the eyes of all the children watching the game, maybe some of them for the first time, I'd want them to look at my team and think, that's how you play basketball.
That's how you
and then I just hope they didn't look up at the scoreboard after that.
Yeah, yeah. That's the way I live my life, you know. You know, if you wanted to put the way I see myself
Yeah.
in sports terms,
Yeah.
that would be it. I mean, and there is absolutely no comedy to that.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the way I live. Yeah, if you want to see what a hit single would be, but
Yeah.
our song,
Right. Yeah. The art that we're making.
if you want to go with the audience screaming and giving a standing ovation, I suppose that wasn't our best work. But if you want them all to be cocking an eyebrow and looking confused, we did that.
If you want the audience to kind of look down and go, oh, I guess that was 90 minutes.
While I was on the court tonight, I had a breakthrough about my relationship with my wife and how I beat her.
And
John Lennon?
And I can tell you, the scoreboard did not reflect that.
Yeah. The inner obstacles.
Yeah.
That my own personal obstacles that I overcame tonight.
Let's also talk a little bit about the other team was taller. They were in better shape.
Sure.
And they'd practiced more.
Yeah.
I think if we graded on a curve, we won. I think even getting 2 points from that really good team makes us the better team.
Absolutely.
I think they could not, in our shape, with our height and our skill set, I don't think they could have gotten 2 points against themselves.
Lawyers, physicians, these are all people who are graded on a curve when put in the same room as their peers.
Right.
I would like to be graded on a curve as well.
Yeah, but we have a better world here. We have a better world. We have so much more to talk about on Wednesday, but that was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked.
nature sang and round us rang the music of the spheres. And was
We didn't really cover hypocrisy as much as we wanted to, did we?
I think we
did another run at that.
You want to take another run at it?
Put the cone out so we don't run too fast.
Are you sure we're not just like trying to dig our way out of a hole by continuing to address this hypocrisy thing?
I'm sure we're trying to dig our way out of the hole.
Fair enough.
And you know, German guy in the old truck that lives near Matt, I love you. Do we have any ads or anything that time we didn't do?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, probably.
Yep.
Okay, we'll put them in. I lost my computer.
I didn't print them out either, so let me pull them up. What do you want to do? Just read them and stick them in?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll put this during the break. Maybe this is a better example. Sociopath, serial killer. Believes he's morally okay in killing people. But he doesn't want people to kill him. He still wants society to have that prohibition against murder for his own safety.
No, it's not right, though.
That good?
There's a better, more honest, down-to-earth example that I can't think of.
Well, I want to get to something extreme because the problem that I see people hanging up on is in that example, it's the murder that we care about stopping. We don't care about stopping the hypocrisy. We don't care about what he thinks about it. This is the reason why you don't care about hypocrisy. Is you care about you don't care about the guy having the gay sex. You care about him having the policy against gay sex.
Right.
It's not the conflict between those two things that's the problem.
Right.
It's still just the one thing that's the
Did
problem.
Choker just change their password?
No, but you do have to.
Yes, they
on the
did.
network.
Since
You have to be on.
he wasn't here last week.
Yeah, you have to be on.
You just have to refresh it.
So.
And are we muted? Are we muted?
Try the
Before-
guess 524.
Before.
Before you say anything, Jared, are we muted?
No.
Okay, mute us. Stand by for the next episode, everybody.
Stand by for the next episode. The password for Choker. Stand by for that.
Stand by for the next Snowman 88. I mean,
Traffic cone.
I hate cones.
Germans hate traffic cones. He's probably Austrian.
It's already
That's true.
been done.
He might not even be. I haven't been able to figure all that out.
Welcome back to this password-free break.
What was the password you typed in? It doesn't matter. I just have it.
Yeah, I can give it to you if you need.
That's fine.
Do I have an ad to do first?
Yes, you do. Sorry, I was writing down German say traffic cones. Godot is his name? Michael Godot?
We did a great show with Carrie Stamper. That's a great show, wasn't it?
Yes.
You weren't here for it.
No. But I was laughing at that one feedback. So I was like, people's favorite episodes by far are like when we bank with a really great guest. Big podcast with Shaq, promo copy. Does Glenn have a thing that he needs you to record? And have stamps. Should we just do those separately?
Ask the question again.
I have stamps, and I have the big podcast with Shaq, promo copy for.
And they're both for the first episode?
Let's see here. For Sundays, stamps is for the one we just did, and for Wednesday, it's pre-show live read.
So just stamps.
Matt, do you want a clip soda or anything?
Yes, I'll take a club soda, please.
Pin.
PM.
Oh.
I just gave her Mississippi. PM.
My grandmother legitimately cannot hear the difference between the two.
Okay. Let's take a break here and talk about Stamps.com. We love them, don't we, Matt?
Oh, yeah.
The U.S. Postal Service is an important tool for any business. You got to send stuff around. Stamps.com is the easiest way to access all the amazing services of the post office. Stamps.com never closes. Print postage for letters and packages at your convenience 24/7. Print postage for any class mail right from your own computer. The exact amount of postage every time. Never underpay or overpay again. Stamps.com brings all the amazing services of the U.S. Postal Service right to your fingertips. Buy and print official U.S. postage on any letter, any package, any class of mail using your own computer and printer. They'll send you a digital scale, automatically calculates exact postage. Stamps.com will even help you decide the best class of mail based on your needs. No need to lease an expensive postage meter and no long-term commitments.
Oh.
Yeehaw! We use it on everything. We're sending out, we're sending out the director's cut, 5,000 packages to everybody. They'll all go stamps.com.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way we do it. Right now, you too can enjoy Stamps.com service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in
Pen.
That's Stamps.com. Enter.
Pen.
Okay, what else do I have to do?
The other one we read right at the top.
Is a pre-show for this
And where is
next
it?
episode.
It's in the same email. Hold on.
Can I just take a moment to thank Stamps.com for keeping the podcast industry alive?
They do.
They really do.
Have you checked out? We're going to start the show with this?
Yes.
Okay, so we're ready to go.
Does it go post pre theme song? Does it go
Yep.
pre theme song?
Brief theme song.
Okay, great.
And you're doing the theme song.
Got it.
You got a lot of stuff about Piff and stuff?
I have a couple of fun.
Good. We'll do all that.
I'm waiting on you.
Oh, you are? Have you checked out the big podcast with Shaq lately? Of course, Shaq and the team talk basketball and sports, but it's not all about sports. Shaq talks movies, TV, music, what's happening in his life, and maybe even a little gossip.
What?
Some of his past guests include Chris Webber, Rob Gronkowski, and Rob Riggle. Make sure you check out the big podcast with Shaq every Monday exclusively on Apple Podcast, the Podcast One app, and podcastone.com. Did I say those names like I knew who they were?
You did. You
Let's
did.
go with Sunday School.
This is Penn Sunday School, and to our listening ears, old angel sings and round us rings the music of the spheres.
Go, Matt, go!
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School. I'm Matt Donnelly, and we're broadcasting from Show Creator Studio. This week, Penn did stuff. That's right, Penn did all kinds of new stuff. We also have to address some of this old stuff that we didn't get to, and we also have to, one of the things we have to address is having a pre-show meeting about what we're talking about.
Yeah,
We should maybe think about doing that as well.
we should.
In the meantime, here he is, preach the love, everybody, Penn Gillette.
That was a really nice intro. And what's nice about that intro is we can use that intro over and over again. Now,
It's evergreen.
you rushed in here like a crazy monkey after
I did.
you stopped the show.
Yeah.
From the airport.
Yeah.
Where'd you fly in from?
From Gulfport, Mississippi, via Atlanta.
And you were at the Biloxi?
I was in Biloxi, yeah,
Biloxi.
playing the IP Casino down there.
IP Casino?
IP Casino, yeah. It's a Boyd company. I don't know what the IP stands for. I don't know why that's the way to go.
We've played there, right?
I think you have, but you're playing a different one down there. On June 29th, it was advertising all over the airport. You're playing the Beau. That's what they call it.
Beau Rivage,
Beau Rivage, but no one calls it that.
Pretty River.
I actually said, like, what is the Beau Rivage? I couldn't say it right. And then my driver's like, what are you talking about? And I'd like point to a billboard. It's like, what is that place called? She's like, the Beau. I was like, oh, okay. So everyone says the Beau down there, just so you know.
What hotel were you at?
The IP Casino.
You just said that.
Yeah.
Well, that would be Imperial Palace.
Oh, is that what it's short for?
I don't know.
It must be, though.
Pretty
And they
close.
probably want to take that out, and so they go to IP to make it nice and short.
But, what I think of is, Yellow River by IP Standing. You know those books? 20-Yard Dash to the Outhouse by Willie Make It, illustrated by Betty Won't.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember all those. Yeah,
All
yeah.
those book titles.
Yeah.
So also I think it was Yellow River by IP Freely.
Yes.
IP Freely.
IP
There's
Freely.
probably someone named IP Freely.
Yes, at this point.
I go by the name of Paul.
But
I don't go by IP. I go by Paul.
Yeah, please stop calling me that.
Ignatius Paul Freely. That's my name. But Paul Freely is fine.
It's a stretch to call me IP. It really is. You're trying hard.
You're trying hard. It's
You're
just
trying.
Paul Freely.
Yeah.
I'm Paul Freely. Paul is fine. Mr. Freely is fine. I don't need IP Freely.
When people come out here, there was like,
And
man,
here is Rebecca Won't.
there was like Vegas. They just shoved us out in the middle of the desert, huh? You never hear people make that mentality. Say something like to that effect.
Well, I don't even know.
That we just built Vegas in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
That, like there's nothing here, and we decided that we should just put everything
Yeah.
here. What? Isn't that crazy?
But you know what Las Vegas means?
What does it mean?
You don't know? The Meadows.
Oh,
This was the oasis in the middle of the Mojave.
wow.
This where there was a little bit of water and happy and ducks.
Well, I said we just came back from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and man, does it feel arbitrary that there are 8 casinos down there.
Now, are these riverboat casinos?
I guess technically they either are or used to be, and I believe because of Katrina, the rules have changed as to where they can build stuff now.
Because, it used to be, I don't know if it was here, but it was
Yeah.
so funny, that the casino had to be on a boat,
Yeah,
and the boat had to float. So
Yeah.
the whole casino would be on 1/8 of an inch of water.
yeah. I went to one in Indiana that was like that. I thought it was gonna be on a boat. I'm picturing like the Maverick TV show, like there's some big paddle boat going out of the river that then you can gamble kind of thing.
No.
And then I went into just a regular casino.
There was I was on a radio show once, and they had a woman on that was on with me, and she was named Raven.
Yeah.
She was a stripper and a prostitute, and we were doing morning radio. Me, a stripper, a prostitute, and she said her name was Raven, and she had dyed bright red hair.
Yeah.
And I said to her, did your hair used to be black? She said, yes. How did you know? And I said, well, the name Raven. She said, yes, that's the name I use when I'm stripping. I said, yeah, well, Raven is because you have black hair. She said, really? So, Red Raven,
Yeah.
send over Max Maven. But that wasn't the odd part of the conversation.
Okay.
She was there to sell a service.
When was this?
35 years ago.
Okay.
I don't even remember what state it was in.
Raven, where are you now?
But I liked her, needless to say.
Sure.
There was an attempt at flirtation from my side, which may have been unsuccessful. She may have ended up sitting in my lap for some of the
Yeah.
interview, which is good. But I was just on the morning radio show,
It was her entrepreneurial spirit that you were attracted to?
Well, yes. Pimping my, when we're on the road, I do morning radio.
Yeah.
Don't you and Piff do it?
Piff does it.
Yeah.
No one cares about the opener.
No. You get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
You get in to the hotel at 2 a.m.
Yep.
You eat all the food in the vending machine. You fall asleep at 4. The alarm goes off at 5.
Yeah.
And you are funny by 6.
Yeah.
And I was on the show. I was probably weirder than I am now, but that's not important to the story.
Sure.
And I was also in a strange town, so Raven had a great deal of appeal to me. But that's not the story.
No.
The story is she and her friend had developed a service where they had a private plane and he was a pilot. Okay?
Yes.
And they had found a way to read the laws that prostitution laws did not apply when 5,000 feet over the county. So they were on the radio to sell the services
Yeah.
that you get in an airplane, they would fly, and she would perform oral sex on you while you had a tour of the city and then come back down. And they had decided that they were in the loophole of
Yeah.
that. And there were people who were trying to stop them from doing this service.
Yeah.
And they were indignant. Now, what's funny about it is your indignation is very, very specific. What do you mean we're performing prostitution in your county? We're not doing that. We're 5,000 feet above your community.
That's a tough sell.
I believe it was not successful.
I would imagine not, or we'd imagine there'd be many services like that here in town.
The skies would be dark.
I was trying to...
Maybe all those helicopters aren't going to the Grand Canyon? I don't know.
I was trying to find a way to weasel a discount or a freebie.
A trial run.
Or maybe be their spokesman.
or a flight attendant.
Have to try out the
or
service first.
baggage guy.
There is a story. Have I ever told the story of the Carney talker on this show? I don't think I have.
No.
I'll tell this story because it fits in nicely. And I'm not going to give his name, although if you wanted to find out who the most famous Carney, the best talker in history was,
Right.
you'd be able to find out who he was. There was a Carney who was a phenomenal talker. I went to the fair convention here in Vegas, and I came out of the fair convention with 3 elderly men who were all Carney talkers. Okay? Now, these are guys that their whole life is nothing but talking. They talk to sell things. They talk to get out of problems. They talk to sheriffs. They talk to employees. They just talk. And I mean, from the moment they get up, the moment they go to sleep, they are talking. Pockets full of money, all sorts of angles they can play, but they just talk. So these are the people that I looked up to as wanting to be talkers like them. Except these guys are the real Carneys.
Right.
They're no kidding around Carneys. These are guys like wearing bow ties and kind of classy elderly men. And we finish up the fair, and I've got a couple hours before my show. We're over at what was the Hilton then, where the Carney convention was. And there's a steakhouse. And we want to have a little supper before the show.
Yeah.
So there's the steakhouse at the Hilton, and the steakhouse opens at 5:30. And at this point, it's 5:20.
Okay.
20 minutes. And there are no seats outside the steakhouse. And I'm with these 3 elderly gentlemen. And there's a hostess, maitre d', attractive. She's probably mid-20s. She's standing out there, dressed to hostess at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I say to the guys, let's go in the restaurant, sit down, have something to eat, then I'll go do my show. They go, great, I want to sit down and talk. I go, great. So I walk over. They're about 15 yards away. I walk over and have a conversation with them. I go, excuse me, see those gentlemen over there? They're older guys. We're going to come in here and have supper at 5:30. It's only 5:20 now. You're not open yet. And we'd like to just come in and sit down. Don't even put lights on. We don't need any water, anything brought to the table. Just a place to sit while we wait for you to open. We open at 5:30, sir. Right. I know you open at 5:30, but we're not going to do any harm. We'll just sit at a table, and you don't have to bring us even a glass of water. Nothing. We'll just sit. We open at 5:30, sir. At 5:30, you can come in with your party. Okay. I work in a show called Penn and Teller, and my name's Penn, and we're down there, and I got to kind of get in here and start right at 5:30 evening so I can make my show. Yeah, okay, no, you can't come in. 5:30 we open, be happy to have you at 5:30. Is it that we needed a reservation or something? No, we're open. We'll be fine at 5:30, come on in. Okay, thank you. Walk back. This Carney guy says to me, what, we going in? I go, no, they open at 5:30. He goes, yeah, we know that. He goes, why aren't we walking in? I go, well, I tried. He said, I thought you could talk. And he says it as the meanest thing I believe that's ever been said to anybody. I thought you could talk. And this man walks over, and I can see from a distance, can't hear what he's saying. He talks. There are 3 sentences, 4 sentences, and he makes this gesture with his arm for us all to go over. We go over, the lights of the restaurant come up, Seated in a beautiful booth. She comes over, brings some water over and some bread and butter, and we're all sitting down. And I go, oh, man, he goes, what did you say to her? I just tried. He goes, oh, God, couldn't have been easier. He goes, no, she also said that the appetizers are on her. I go, what's going on? What's going on? So she comes over to the table, like 5 minutes later, and says, I cannot believe he is from 2 blocks from my mom in Brooklyn. I happen to know for a fact this gentleman's from Boston, Massachusetts. He knew my mom. He knew my mom. He goes, well, I knew her a little better than she. Oh, stop it! Stop it! I love this guy. Gives him a big hug. She goes, same block, 2 blocks away, 2 blocks away. Okay? That's bad enough. Music comes on the Muzak. He stands up and starts slow dancing with her. Don't you know I love you? You're so beautiful. We get this great service. Wonderful. That's the way a person talks. It was incredible. She loved us, absolutely loved us.
That's great.
It's great. Now, famously, if you go to the Library of Congress and you look up Carnival, they have a collection of Carney talk, right? Bally's, which means when you go to see attend one show or a freak show, there'd be someone out in the valley talking about it, right? But after right about 60s, early 70s, especially when cassettes come out, they start having recorded Bally's. Thalidomide, the day a woman's world stood still. The fun house, you can't get them in, you can't get them out, you can't get them out of the glass house. Ha, ha, ha. Watch them laugh as they come out. The dangers of drug abuse. Inside, you'll see. Okay.
Yeah.
Nature's farmland mistakes. In here, the freaks of nature, the freaks of farms. You'll see a 3-legged chicken. You'll see a 5-legged cow. You will see a goat with 2 heads, all on the inside. Okay. Those recordings are done. There's hundreds of them, maybe 1,000 of them. There are 2 people who do 95% of them. Okay, those are the 2 people I was out with there.
Okay.
They have done every sales for everything. So there's a story about this one guy that I have checked with a couple sources, and it's true. Now, in the Carney, in the heyday in the 70s, they also had what was called the Cooch Show, or a strip show. Mm-hmm. What this would be is what we would call now a gentleman's club or a strip bar, where they would have women. And the women, what they did at those shows would change county by county and who was in the audience. Okay? Mm-hmm. So one county, they would be fully nude, giving lap dances. Okay? Another county, they might be in bathing suits and never come off the stage. At least when there was enforcement around, right? And they were also they used their ability and desire to accomplish other things as well. Pay off county councilmen and so on. But there's be 5 women and a headliner. Okay? Now, my buddy would be brought in and he would talk the show live for when they hit for 2 weeks. The last day of the 2 weeks, they would record him. Then that would go into a loop that would play over and over again. So you have that exact show in that location with those women talked by the best in the world, and then that went to recording. But for 2 weeks, he'd be out there. So there was a time when he told me this story, and as I said, I got to confirm by other people. He said to me, Penn, if I'm going to talk a farm show, I'm going to go in and see all the freaks that are in there. I'm going to see the 2-headed goat. I'm going to see the 5-legged cow. I want to see them and make sure that what I'm selling is appropriate on the outside. If I am selling, a thalidomide baby, pickled punk show where they're in jars, I want to see them. I want to know what I'm selling. It's unethical for me to sell something I have not seen and have not experienced. So when I sell a cooch show, I need to have sex with every one of the women who are on that stage. Now, this is the 70s, and the way this guy looked, you got to picture this. The greased back hair,
Yeah.
really long, but greased back, okay? So not hippie, greased back, long hair, big mutton chop sideburns, okay? Shirt open to the waist, gold chains, incredibly tight jeans, cowboy boots with steel toes. I mean, the nightmare carny that every parent would be horrified by.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that way they hold the mic, which kills me. And I try to do this whenever I have a wired mic. I try to do it. The mic, you've seen this, the mic comes around the back of the neck.
Yeah.
So you can let go of it and it hangs on your chest, but you can pick it up whenever you want. So they don't have mic stands. The mic is just hanging over their shoulder like a tie, and they pick it up. So I've seen pictures of him in the 70s, right? Sideburns, open chest, everything else. And he's got this mic in his hand. And these guys hold the mic. Remember, comics, you know, real road pigs that you know, they have a mic in their hand maybe 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
These guys are holding a mic 14 hours a day.
Wow.
14 hours a day they have a mic that they're used to. And mic technique like you can't believe, and a natural quality on mic that you can't believe. Beautiful talking. So he tells me he has to have sex with every one of the women on the show. And he says, so I'm there 2 days, and I've had sex with 5 of the women. He says, I just, I'm, first of all, this guy has also been married 11 times.
Get out of town.
11 times. 11 times, which is the record from me I know personally.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I also like that because it implies there is a real romantic side to him. That he really gets carried away.
Yeah.
And be like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the one.
And I will tell you, he's not going to have sex with these women in a professional quality.
Yeah.
He is going to charm them.
Right.
Okay? And he does 5 in 2 days. I mean, amazing. And the lead is tall, very busty, and blonde. And he has not gotten the lead to have sex with him. He's not gotten the lead to have sex with them. And he has tried all his charm. And it is driving him crazy. He's brought her little gifts. He's brought her flowers. He's talked to her about movies. He's talked about her family. Yeah, they're from the same town. Yeah, da-da-da-da-da. He's done every one of his tricks, and she is not taking any of it. Every time she goes in for her meals at the cookhouse, he comes up next to her, brings her a little extra something, brings her a little bit of wine, da-da-da-da. They talk. She's really nice to him. And after 3 days, all this time is compressed, right?
Yeah.
Because they're living in the same lot. After 3 days, she says to him, listen, buddy, I like you, but I play for the other team. I am a lesbian. I do not sleep with men. All your charm is lost on me. I don't sleep with men. Professionally, I will. Not amateur, not in my life. I'm not even slightly interested in you. She says this to him fairly loudly and fairly embarrassing in front of a bunch of people at the cook tent. Buddy just does not hesitate for a moment. Not for a moment, does not slow down. He says, okay, I make a deal with you. If I come out in full drag, looking like a beautiful woman, will you pretend it's a strap-on and do me? She says with a big laugh, buddy, if you're willing to do that, sure. Stands up without finishing his food, okay? Looks over to a couple of the other dancers who are there. Says, want to have some fun? Come on with me. They walk up into one of the girls' trailers. They are there for an hour. The whole carnival is gathered around. The door opens. in the doorway, legs shaved, chest shaved, everything shaved, in a miniskirt, in high heels, in a wig, sideburns shaved, clean shaven, full makeup, full, beautiful, long wig. He just stands there at the top of the stairs. The carnival goes crazy laughing. He walks down the stairs very well in his high heels, walks over to her and says, "Come on, let's go." She goes, "Yeah, let's go." They go into the trailer with everybody watching them go in there. Tells me the story, says, "I made a great tape the next day, left town." If there's anybody in the world you would want to be, can you do better than that?
No.
It's just so great.
That's a fun story. I really dig that. I already want to write that into something. It's really great. Has it already been written into something?
It hasn't. It hasn't. But I love it. And I don't think you've met him.
No. No.
He comes to our show a lot.
Oh, okay.
And I can always tell when he's at the show because after the show, people will say, "I was sitting next to your dad." At the show. It was just great. He ran a flea circus at Hubert's. He started out selling stuff, talking and scamming on the streets of New York when he was 6. No education whatsoever, functionally illiterate. But man, can he talk. And there is nobody that doesn't fall in love with him. When he was 75 years old,
Yeah.
I went to see him with my girlfriend, who was 30, right?
Yeah.
And she said afterwards, "I've never been hit on harder than by him." Every second, talking about my beautiful eyes and we got so much in common and we should get together and what's your relationship with Penn? I'm sure you'd understand. Why don't we go over here? She said constantly working every single second we were together. Cared about my family. She said, "I've never been more flattered."
Yeah.
The romance was amazing and constantly off him. And every single person, it's not just her, every person he comes in contact with,
Yeah.
just fall in love with him.
I remember hearing like a interview with it was like a podcast with a cat caller, a guy who would like call out to women on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And woman was like, "I'm not, no, I'm not going to go on a date with you. We're not going to hang out, but I am a journalist. I'm curious, like, this can't work, what you're doing." And he was like, "Oh, it does."
It does?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That it doesn't work all the time, but it's a numbers game. And that the percentage is high enough that it absolutely is worth pursuing. So calling out to women on the street.
"Hey, baby."
Yeah.
"Hey, baby, nice ass."
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And
all that
some of them
stuff.
turn around and go, "Let's get together."
Yeah. And what they're not expecting is a doubling down of enthusiasm for whatever, right? So like if they get a little of a reaction, they get that kind of attention. Where the guy just zeroes in and just fawns over them and just a ton of compliments and all kinds of notions and things like that. And
there
work.
are cases where that is developed into the great romance of all time, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they have, he would have girlfriends for a while from starting on the street, and they interviewed them too, and it would be like, "Yeah, I mean, I knew I didn't want to, whatever, but it just goes that way."
Yeah. But I mean, I think even from a feminist point of view,
Yeah.
a man who's willing to say, "This is what I'm going to do to get your attention," we give him a little bit of credit, right?
I think so. I mean, I know the catcalling thing can be a pretty polarizing issue, and I can't.
Not catcalling.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Buddy.
Oh, yeah, just talking. Yeah. I mean,
Changing, going into full drag.
oh, yeah.
I think that shows a certain kind of commitment.
I think
The
so too.
catcalling thing seems awful.
Yeah.
But I would have bet that it never worked ever once ever.
Yeah. No, I remember it was my own personal education was living in Harlem, and this girl was walking maybe like 20 feet ahead of me, and the guy from across the street yelled out like specific things, of what he wanted to do to her or whatever. Enough that I was ready to like, if I was ready to like yell at him from where I was. And the girl just turned and like real cute over her shoulder, over her back shoulder, just went, "Shut up," like smiling, and then kept walking. And then he smiled, and they had like a little like moment. And I was like, "Oh, geez, that was one of the most lewd things I've ever heard." And I was ready to, yeah. And they just laughed it off. So now that's not to excuse anyone who's had an unpleasant experience with it. It's just you don't know. You just don't know.
Well, see, I just always assumed it was 100% unpleasant.
Right.
I didn't think you could ever find one woman who would tell me there was a pleasant thing about it.
Yeah.
I'm still skeptical.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
But I'm just saying, for my buddy in the carnival,
yeah.
in that closed community with its own moralities and standards, I think he's probably okay.
I think so too. And
But
I think
of course,
it's important to point that out, though, that you're dealing with a community and a certain culture, a mutually acceptable culture that's well established before this goes down.
And maybe this was the worst thing ever, but that culture's gone now. So
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it. I could have never. That's why. I mean, there it is in a nutshell. I supposedly have a lot of the skills that they had.
Yeah.
I couldn't get us into a restaurant 20 minutes early. 10 minutes early. I couldn't get a restaurant 10 minutes early.
Yeah.
With 3 elderly men.
Yeah.
10 minutes early, couldn't do it.
I've often, because of improvising and doing performance improv, been roped into jobs that were like, hey, you can talk to anybody, you should be able to do this thing, and I absolutely cannot, and I'm horrible at it. Like street flyering, street advertising,
Yeah.
any kind of talking situation. People always assume I'd be good at it, and I am terrible at it.
Yeah, there's I think one of the things is you need to be willing to absolutely outright lie.
Right.
Because, you have to be able to be from the same block and have dated her mother.
Yeah. That's part of it, sure. Yeah.
Besides the skill, there's also a certain kind of moral fluidity
Right.
that's called for to be
Like
able
the
to go.
stand-up flyer guys who just yell the names of the greatest stand-up people as you walk by. They're not doing the same show that night. Chris
Richard
Rock,
Pryor tonight.
back from the dead, Richard Pryor.
So what I love is how you get like the steamboat, the riverboat rising.
Oh, yeah.
An 1/8 inch of water. There was a place in St. Paul. They put a rule in you couldn't be topless in the same room with customers. So the guy bought an aerobic studio next to the bar and put in a glass wall, and the women would go in to exercise, and they would exercise nude, and then be at the bar next door. Then they would come across and work their waitress shift, and they would be tipped for what they saw. And the slogan was "Best ass under glass," and it's amazing how things can pervert things.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, we've got a building that's floating on an 1/8 of an inch of water, so it can be a boat, so we can have gambling.
Right.
But you were not on one of those this time
I don't think so.
at the IP.
At the IP, it might have been like technically floating on water, but now it's so whatever nowadays. And I guess everything got rebuilt after Katrina.
And how big a room?
It was a big room. It was I think it's maybe like 1,300 seats. Mm-hmm. And so
Sold out?
Sold out.
Nice.
Piff sells a lot of tickets. A lot of people, members of the congregation, came up to me.
Oh, did they? What did you hear from them?
They enjoy the show. I always like it. I can tell instantly whether someone is just a Penn Sunday School listener or an Ice Cream Social and Penn Sunday School listener.
I see.
Right off the bat.
How do you tell that?
Because every Penn Sunday School person kind of like, it's basically like they talk to me like they're like your older brother's friend. Then I go like, Matt, hey, great show. Member of the congregation. It's good stuff, man. It's good. That kind of stuff. Whereas like Ice Cream Social people usually have the T-shirt. They yell salt pork. They talk. We have like a conversation and stuff. It's very funny. But Penn Sunday School the congregation people just kind of give me like a little like almost like a tip of the hat kind of thing. Like, good on you, sir.
And how was your show going?
It's good. For someone who's only been doing magic since October. Wow. It was weird to be playing these large venues, and Piff's very generous to let me do that. And he's also fantastic at like communicating those things. He even actually, he's like, "Can I go into your case? The case that you pack?" And I said, "Yes." And he called me back the next day. He's like, all right, I'm reorganizing your case. And then I showed up at the Casino Mississippi, and he opened up my case, and he took me through my new magic case and how he reorganized everything for me. And this is how you're traveling from now on.
Was it a lot better?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, he found like specific bags that hold specific props. Like basically all my tricks are now in their own blue zipped up bag. And like I use like poster board and paper. He made that into a case that holds that poster that also works as a luggage holder. Like it holds everything in place. That's like a wall in my luggage. It's unbelievable. He goes, yeah, it took me 5 years to even start thinking about organizing my luggage. He's like, I just wanted to get this out of the way for you right away.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've really got the gravy train going.
It's ridiculous. It really is. It's ridiculous. So we're talking about doing. I came up with we came up with a version of tossed out deck I do with baseball cards, and 1,500 seats. Really hard to play with cards, baseball cards. But Piff and I went back and forth with ideas, and so I found these inflatable balls that were inflatable boxing gloves because I couldn't find an inflatable ball that you could stick a deck of cards in. But I found this inflatable boxing glove that didn't have a wrist attachment, so it's basically just a ball that a kid could stick its arm in. And so that fit a deck of cards, and I got to do tossed out deck, but I was bopping a huge ball. I got people on the balcony. It was so fun.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So Piffin is helping me. He's helping me figure out what tricks I could do that would broaden to larger crowds.
And how long are you doing now?
But I'll do about a half hour when I open for him.
Really?
4 tricks, yeah.
And going over very well?
Yeah.
What's your closer?
Is the weight prediction on my chest.
Whose idea was that?
Penn's.
Good.
Walk me through all the steps. That's my big closer.
How are you set on pockets?
I wear overalls, which have extra pockets, and I do actually have custom overalls. So I have 3 additional hidden pockets in my overalls. So I did also take a page from the pockets as well. But yeah. So but 2 weekends ago I was opening for Piff at Portland in a comedy club, and Piff. Especially in comedy clubs, it's just he comes out and music comes up, people applaud, but then he has his tech person cut the music pretty quickly, and so then the applause quickly dies down, which puts Piff. That's his entrance point to talk to the audience, like, "Oh, what happened? You're done clapping? That's all you got for me?" kind of thing. He does with that in a charming British accent. So he does this in Portland in our last show. We did 6 shows. In our last show, and he goes, "Oh, is that all you got for me?" Died down pretty quickly, and a woman just yells, "Well, I hated the opener."
Oh, how terrible.
Real clear. Crystal clear. From like the back of the audience. Perfect timing. It was totally silent. And Piff had technically left a room open for people to justify why they weren't applauding as much as maybe they should have been. Man, I've never seen Piff happier. He just smiled and said, "What did you say?" And she repeated it, and he was like, yeah, well, that's fair, that's true. And then I heard it, so this is comedy club just right on the side there, and so I came running back out like wrestling, like a WWE wrestler, and I pulled out my knife and I pointed towards her, saying, "Who said that?" Whatever, and then everyone else applauded that I'd come back out to face the person. But the worst result of it was that everyone after the show would shake hands. They got her name. Her name was Rachel. Rachel, if you're out there, I'm sorry. But everyone just looked at me like, "Don't listen to Rachel. That was fine. Don't worry about Rachel." Which also made Piff very happy. Just loved everyone justifying. And then all he keeps saying is like, I mean, she meant it. It's like, we could say you had a good show or bad show or whatever, but like she definitely meant what she said. She was not playing. She did not like you. So it's been a fun time out there doing that.
And what do you feel like becoming a magician?
I love it. I have done enough showbiz stuff that I don't get overly nervous. I mean, obviously I'm very nervous, but I feel comfortable doing what I'm doing. It's really nice to have steps, like not just material, but to have, you're going to do physical things in a particular order. Like to say that, like, oh, I do go for a half hour, like that's just how long it takes me to do those tricks, and Piff just gives me that time. I offer to cut stuff. He says, "No, I want to keep that all in," and I can't believe that I'm saying like, "Oh, if you want it all in, I have to do a half hour." Like these are strange things coming out of my mouth, but it's really nice. he'll build characters big. I like to play nice and big, and I am.
You don't have your dancers on the road.
I don't know the dancers. It's just me, but I also think what's different about me versus magicians is I'm used to failing. Like I'm much more comfortable with failure. I know it sounds strange, but last night in Mississippi, not one trick went off the rails because audience member misunderstood what I was saying, and I also ruined the kicker on my tossed out deck routine. And I just, made some jokes about it, moved on, then finished the next trick out strong, and it was great. I don't get, as long as I know why I went wrong and what I can do to adjust it, I don't really get upset. And
Do you have a lot of music cues?
no,
Did you bring your chicken with you?
I don't do the chicken act. One, because I'd have to source it in every city we play,
Right.
and then there's an adorable dog doing magic in the headlining show.
Oh, right, of course.
So I just do. No, I do ropes. I open with teller's ropes, tossed out deck. I do a drawing dupe, and then weight prediction, and then I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah.
And except for Rachel, people like you?
Except for Rachel, it seems like it's going over really well. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is I'm so lucky. I just leapt at it when Piff offered it to me, just because it just was.
Now, do you end up socializing a lot with Piff and Jade and everybody, or
Yeah.
you're kind of on your own?
No. I mean, I first was traveling with them on their schedule, but since I don't have to do press, I come in later than they do, so I can spend more time at home. I don't have to fly out a day early. But once we're there, yeah, we all hang out. And the thing is that we both are trying to get back to Vegas as fast as possible. When we're done. Piff's not a big partier, and I'm not really partying that much, and so yeah, we hang out. It's nice. It's very nice. I mean, Piff is he understands how new I am to magic, and I understand how new I am to magic, and so but he's a passionate magician, so I get to talk shop with him a lot. So I spend most of the time I just go he'll watch a lot of my sets, and he has little notes and stuff, and we go back and forth and we make little adjustments. And
You're going to get better crazy fast.
already there's already been just significant little small adjustments that he just points out that I make that adjustment, and it really helps things
Well, you've
get
had
better.
great mentor. And I also want to point out to people listening that Gambler's Ballad,
Yes.
The Legend of Johnny Thompson,
Yeah.
the 45-minute movie that I made about Johnny Thompson,
Yeah.
who, as we know, is the teacher of all of us.
Yes.
Piff, Siegfried Roy, David Copperfield,
Yeah.
David Blaine, Chris Angel, Penn and Teller. Johnny does all of that. I made a documentary called Gambler's Ballad, The Legend of Johnny Thompson,
Yeah.
that is available on Showtime. It's on Showtime Extreme. It's really hard to find.
It's annoyingly hard to find.
5:30 a.m. But if you have a
I can find Richard Turner's Delt everywhere.
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere without seeing that documentary.
But DVR, you got to
Yeah.
find that, and it'll be pay-per-view or on demand is what I mean to say, not pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It'll be on demand shortly.
Oh, good.
I was just in New York, and I went on Sirius. Did a bunch of.
Oh, good.
I did about 5 interviews there, talking about it, and
People are raving about it.
Pete Dominic and
Yeah.
that show. You must know Pete Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
And I also did an interview with DJ Woo Kid.
Yeah.
You know DJ Woo Kid?
No.
Very difficult interview.
Yeah.
His use of the N-word. Frequent and also unilateral, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you don't usually have someone speaking using words you're not allowed to use.
Right. And in a way that someone's inviting you to join.
Yes, well, he's referred to me that way.
Yeah.
Had that. I also did Jim and Sam, which used to be Opie and Anthony.
Yeah.
But is now Jim and Sam. And got to go on with Paul Stanley.
Whoa.
Paul Stanley, who is now a fine artist. He's a painter.
Okay.
And he was talking a lot about Tim's Vermeer and how much he loved that movie and how he paints and sells paintings.
Are you happy? How happy are you with the Gambler's Ballad and how it turned out?
Very happy.
Good.
Thought it turned out great. Thought Emery did a great job.
Because you bring up Tim's Vermeer, actually, is like, oh, yeah, you've made some pretty kick-ass documentaries.
I've made 3 documentaries.
Yeah.
I made The Aristocrats, Tim's Vermeer, and Gambler's Ballad.
You're pretty happy with those
I'm pretty
things.
happy with those.
Do you? I know Teller did Gambler's Ballad with you as well. Yeah.
No,
It's just you.
he appears in it.
He appears in it.
It was me and Emery that did
Okay.
Gambler's Ballad.
The other ones you didn't do. You worked with Provenza on Aristocrats.
Yeah.
You worked with Teller on Vermeer.
Yeah.
This time out, what was it like to do this? Because
With Emery?
yeah,
Well, Emery did an awful lot on Aristocrats, too.
right.
So I know Aristocrats. I know Emery and his style and
Yeah.
stuff. And Gambler's Ballad grew very naturally. I learned to do this really, really hard trick.
Yeah.
And that was a personal thing for me to learn some hard card magic. And then I decided to do it as a duet with Johnny. We decided to go out and do 3 gigs, mostly
Yeah.
magic convention stuff. And when people heard Johnny was doing the Gambler's Ballad with me, a lot of people showed up. And I had asked Emery to just cover the show, like 10 minutes. But with David Copperfield there and Arsenio Hall and Derek Gardio and all those guys all showing up, we interviewed them, Matt King and Teller. And it turned into a real kind of love letter history thing on Johnny Thompson. And we got footage of him.
Which, if it didn't come in at that angle, you probably would have never done, right?
No,
just
never done.
because of intimidation. You obviously have a lot of respect and love for Johnny, but the idea that you would put yourself in charge of some kind of tribute
Yeah.
would be too much.
I wouldn't be the one to do that. But
Yeah.
I was the one to do it because we did this one little trick
Yeah.
that it hung on. And Johnny's thrilled about it. He loves
Good.
it. And the magic community seems to love it. And the people that have found it, which is difficult, people that have found it,
Yeah.
lay people, seem to really love it. They may love it even more than the magicians learning
Yeah.
about it. And Arsenio Hall is a real help on there because Arsenio Hall was so inspired by Johnny Thompson
Oh, great.
and gets to talk about him. And that gives you a point of view you don't usually see
Yeah.
in magic. I mean, Johnny Carson was a magician, Steve Martin,
Yeah.
but Arsenio Hall is the first one to talk about it deeply and richly. I believe Steve Martin's written about it, but taught about it deeply and richly, and it's doing very, very well. And then I went on the Beatles channel on Sirius, and the Beatles channel, I was really proud of this. They ask you to do your Fab Four, your 4 favorite Beatles songs
Okay.
by a celebrity Beatles fan. So I went in and I said, my first choice is Revolution number 9. The 8-minute cut of collage, found music, found tapes that has, and this is really important, has a line in it that many people listening to Sunday school wonder about a lot.
Yeah.
It has the line, "You become naked." Also, I can say, "To me on the, to me on the, to me on the," which is number 9 backwards, which people were convinced was "Turn Me On, Dead Man." To me on the, to me on the, and I just got an app on my phone, so I was thinking about doing a trick that plays what you say backwards.
Yeah.
And I can get a pretty nice number 9 out of "To me on the, to me on the," and it has "Block That Kick," and it's the cut on all the Beatles music that everybody skips over. So that was Revolution number 9 was my first pick on the Fab Four for them to play. And I said how it led me to Varese and 20th century classical and to John Cage and much crazier music was all inspired by me being sucked into Revolution number 9. Okay, what's your second pick, Penn? Revolution. Revolution, I saw on, I think it was the Smothers Brothers show.
Yeah.
With that incredibly distorted guitar.
Yeah.
The triplets on a C. And those lyrics that are so angry and so peaceful. When you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? In, don't you know it's going to be, shooby-doo, it's going to be all right? And Paul's scream on it. And that meant the world to me because I pointed out the Beatles did very little rock and roll.
Yeah.
They did mostly music hall stuff. But this is rock and roll. And they said, okay, that's 2. What's your third choice? And I said, my third choice is Revolution number 1. Which, to my mind, Revolution is John Lennon's version of that song. And Revolution number 1 is Paul McCartney's version. And they do this thing where they go, "Shooby-doo up, don't you know it's going to be? Shooby-doo, all right. Don't you know it's going to be? Shooby-doo, oh." And it adds shooby-doos to hard rock and brings in a doo-wop point of view and softens it. And when you talk about destruction, as you can count me out in, the in is clear in that. So it's actually a more violent song than the harder one. So he said, okay, so far we've got Revolution number 9, Revolution number 1. So those are my 3. So what's your 4th? I said, well, I'm going to go with You Know the Name, Look Up the Number. Because that's the Beatles' B-side that nobody likes. And I said, I loved it. I just adored it. And it shows a respect for the Goon Show, which was a comedy. Spike Mulligan, the Goon Show, was a comedy group in the 50s and 60s the Beatles were real fans of. And I said, that's their little salute to them. And I said, out of that kind of comes Monty Python, George Harrison producing Holy Grail. I said, to me, that's a Beatles song. And then I said, I want to say something perhaps a little controversial for the Beatles channel, which is I think John Lennon was better teamed up with Yoko Ono than he was with Paul McCartney. I think when he left the Beatles, he did not leave his best work behind him. If I were going to be honest on this show, which you play solo stuff as well, my favorite Beatles album is Plastic Ono Band by John Lennon, which has God on it, which for a young atheist was a very important song to me. I said the Beatles came out as atheists in their first Playboy interview. Now, I cannot claim they were atheists their whole lives. George Harrison went back and forth.
Yeah.
John went back and forth. But at the time he wrote God, it's a pretty atheist point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so that's an important song to me. And then he asked me if I'd ever met the Beatles. And I said, this is such an important moment to me. I was in New York City in about 73, and I was living on the Lower East Side in an absolute dump ghetto, no money at all, juggling all the time. I had no money to go out for supper. I was eating powdered milk, peanut butter, that was all, occasional vegetables, but never went out to eat. That's how Teller got me interested in him, by buying me supper when he come to town. I wasn't interested in talking to him, but he had a salary, so he'd say, I'll take you out to dinner, we can talk. He'd take me to McDonald's. He could talk to ever as long as I got a Big Mac, because I was eating peanut butter and powdered milk. And I don't know why we picked those two things, but
Sure.
They seemed cheap. Mike Motion and I juggling 8 hours a day, every day. And I decided to treat myself, and I walked to Central Park from Lower East Side. I was walking through Central Park on a beautiful day. And as I walked, I saw John Lennon. And John Lennon was one of the first famous people I'd ever seen in person. I'd gone to see Lemmings, so I'd seen Chevy Chase and John Belushi and Michael O'Donoghue, but they weren't that famous then.
Right.
Before Saturday Night Live. Bill Murray, too. And I maybe caught a glimpse when I went to live shows. I saw the Mothers of Invention. I saw Jethro Tull. I saw Rod Stewart in Faces, but I didn't get to see them, in private life.
Yeah.
So I'm walking through Central Park, and there's John Lennon walking toward me on the same path. And he'd done an album called New York City, Live in New York City, I think. And he had this verse on there about New York City that said, trying to shake our image just a cycling through the village, but we found that we had left it back in London. Nobody came to bug us, hustle us, or shove us. We decided to make it our home. If the man wants to shove us out, we're going to jump and shout. The Statue of Liberty said, come, New York City, such a fucking badass city. He sang a song about not being bothered in New York. So I wanted to run into his arms and hug him. I wanted to talk to him forever. But he was walking as a good stride, and as we passed, I made eye contact with him. Just total locked-on eye contact. And I winked. And he winked back. And we kept walking. Probably my most beautiful interaction with any human being ever.
Oh, that's great.
I just winked at John Lennon. And then I said that Ringo Starr had come to see our show. And I met him backstage, and he was exactly what Ringo Starr should be. And Paul McCartney was supposed to be there that night, but he'd gotten sick, or claimed he got sick, so as not to have to go to the Penn and Teller show.
One of the other.
Either way, you have to look at it. It's okay. Maybe you'd talk to Rachel, and they said he's friends with that opening act. That's terrible. But Ringo
Came down with magic-itis.
Ringo seemed to enjoy our show.
Good.
Although I only saw him before, so I can't say that. I heard reports back
Yeah.
that he loved the show, which is the only report back you want to hear.
Right.
But that was my. So there will be a Fab Four on the Beatles channel on Sirius XM that'll include Revolution, Revolution number 9, Revolution number 1, and you know my name. Look at the number as Penn's View. Now I've already been on the Springsteen stage.
I know. I remember. I helped. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
I helped. No, I went.
By the way,
he could. Penn swore he was at a concert where the song order was a particular thing, but he couldn't be sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and found the concerts that Penn was talking about, and I found the lineups for those things.
Yep, he helped. By the way, Springsteen's still on Broadway.
I know.
Going crazy strong. I was talking to one of the people at Sirius, Roland,
Yeah.
who is the producer of
E Street Radio.
Sam and Jim.
Oh, yeah.
Who is, I know there's a lot of people contending for this, but he is the biggest Springsteen fan in the world.
Right.
Boy, he knows stuff. He knew everything about how Springsteen put together this show, and he goes back to Freehold every night. Did you know that?
No.
He's commuting.
Oh, that's amazing. That's funny.
Freehold. And I tried to find out, is he driven or does he drive?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too, because there's no cheating that. There's not like an expensive way in to New York. It sucks to drive from Jersey no matter what.
Yeah.
So he's got to be driven.
He could helicopter in, then he'd get around the prostitution laws. But we also we did some back of napkin calculation on how Springsteen's doing on that show.
Oh, geez.
Not bad.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out if he certainly makes more money on a stadium tour,
Right.
but there's so many expenses that it's not as much more as you might think.
That's what I was curious about. I mean, he's always had a fascination with the theatrical experience, you know? I mean, after he's always try not to go on a total nerd path here, but, you know, like after Born in the USA, which is the craziest, largest stadium tour that he had gone on in his life, he came out with Tunnel of Love
Right.
and did theaters with like orchestrated entrances and exits of musicians and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was inspired by, you know, David Byrne or something like
Well,
that.
yeah,
but it was-
David Byrne is the king of that.
Right. And then, you know, even when I saw he did a solo tour with Devils and Dust, where he said he was going to try to create a theatrical environment, and it was at the Meadowlands at the time, or, you know, out in Jersey. And they had to draw curtains, you know, and they only let people come in and out in between songs kind of thing, to try to make it feel more intimate when he did solo stuff. So I think he's always been in love with that environment and that relationship to stuff.
I bet it's a great. I
want to go so bad.
And you got what, a piano player on stage with him?
No, it's just him.
No, I heard there's one other musician.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
I heard that he plays piano a lot in the show,
Huh? Maybe that's it.
and that Patty comes out and joins him for a couple of songs.
That's carpooling,
Yeah.
saving the environment.
But maybe he has other people join him, and maybe he changes it up here and there too.
When he came to see our show, this is years and years ago. When he came to see our show in L.A. when we were at the Wiltern Theater. He arrived in driving himself in a exceedingly fancy car,
Yeah.
like a sports car of some sort. I don't remember what it was.
Around Red Bank and stuff like that. He had this big old motorcycle. He used to drive around with his leather helmet, this old goggle type thing.
Leather helmet?
I guess maybe I'm remembering wrong, but it feels like it was like an old timey helmet.
What kind of motorcycle?
It was like a big chopper type of thing. Like
Ape hangers?
Yeah, big old handlebars.
That's something I don't understand. Riding motorcycles. I do not understand it. I want to be in a comfortable chair with a good stereo.
Yeah, but yeah. So, was that your publicity run for Gambler's Ballad, or do you more?
Gambler's Ballad talked a little bit about Director's Cut as well, and just talked about Fool Us and kind of everything. But I talked about Gambler's Ballad.
Oh, okay.
And it was, I love doing all those serious shows. I love
doing
going
the
from
tour.
place to place and touring on. And I like doing Finally the Beatle channel. I like doing that a lot. I also talked about how important bootlegs were to me, to find out in show business that they weren't geniuses. They were working hard.
Right.
Hearing Paul McCartney sing out of tune may have been the thing that allowed me to go into show business.
Right.
If I hadn't heard a bootleg recording of the Beatles, I would have thought, oh, they go in, they make Sgt. Pepper's. It's in their head, they do it perfectly, that's it. But the stumbling around helps me.
Yeah. I would say, like, you said touring with Piff and stuff, like going into a totally different entertainment profession at 40. It's interesting to get into something knowing you're not even going to try to be the best at something.
Well, that was me playing bass.
Yeah.
I've talked about that forever. There was no chance of me being the best bass player.
Right.
And yet I ended up putting out a record. This record show before the show that people are liking. Mike Jones and Penn Jillette, they're liking the record a lot, and it's selling really well.
Yeah.
So I'm playing bass. But I also think that, it's like I went to a really bad high school, so I read Moby Dick when I was 45.
Yeah.
Reading Moby Dick for the first time when you're 45 is a very, very different thing.
Yeah.
And, there's a couple ways to look at you learning magic at what are you, 40?
40.
Learning magic at 40. You can look at it like, boy, Teller started at 6.
Yeah.
Derek, David Copperfield, everybody you can name in magic started at 6. I start playing around with cards when I'm 14, but I don't even think about magic until I meet Teller and I'm 19. So I come really late. But coming to the party at 40, when you can already do improv, you can already speak on stage, you already have a developed sensibility, gives you a whole different way to learn it.
Yeah.
The idea of coming to something that late, I think it's possible Billy McComb, who was one of the real innovators in magic, I'm not sure of this, but he was a doctor.
Yeah.
And it's possible he came to magic fairly late. So I'm really interested to see what you'll see because, like you said, your fear of failure is different than other people's fear of failure.
Yeah.
Which means you might do stuff that's bolder and crazier.
Well, like I got booked at this variety show in L.A. Coming back from Portland. My friend's variety show. He's been running it forever. Hot Tub out in L.A. Kurt Braunohler, Kristen Shaw run it. It's kind of a who's who. A lot of great comedians come out and try new material there, that kind of stuff. And in that vein, I was like, oh, okay. And Sarah was like, I'll get you a slot in Hot Tub for your birthday. You can have everyone come out and we can have a drink after. And so I was doing a slot with some pretty known folks, and it was fun. And but I was like, I think I'm gonna try a new trick because they're gonna try new stuff. And I bought this thing, and I've been trying to.
So the fact that you've only been working since October doesn't make everything a new trick for you?
I've been obsessive, so I've been buying little tricks and seeing if it's scalable to me in some way. I found this one part of this trick that I was like, I like this idea. It seems like a prop that Hillbill would have. That's a big thing for me right now. Is I find stuff that like, oh, this would be on my person, and you wouldn't think twice. So I like that, and I just have a creative mind, so I can't help it. But no, when I'm touring with Piff, I'm just doing the tricks that we've done from the original lineup. But this it hit me a week before this variety show. It hit me on a plane ride. I was like, oh, I saw the beginning, middle, and end of it. And I went over it with, I always run my tricks by RJ first. He directed the Hillbill show. He knows magic. He goes, yeah, I know. In a couple of months, we'll figure this out. You'll find some ins and outs of it. And I was like, well, I got to start trying soon. So I think I'm going to do it this variety show. And he's like, I don't think you should give it some time. And I was like, okay. I know I'm going to close strong. I'm going to close with my closer I use with Piff. I know people will like it. I'm going to do that. I got this trick in my head, and I don't know how to get it out any other way, So I did it, and it went okay. It didn't go great, but it was fine, and ultimately it worked. And the beats were there, and I was so happy I did it because I found these there's spots there that I didn't explore that I didn't on paper. That moment's not there, And it's like that's where comedy can come in there. And sometimes I did improvise when there's time to. All of a sudden, I had to do more interaction than I thought at one particular part, and it crushed. And I was like, great, I'll keep that, But I like all of that stuff. It was a neat little experiment. And I think again, magicians are always like, no, don't go out there. You might it might not go great.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, I've done so many terrible things on stage. It would take such a disaster for any of my magic tricks going wrong to rank in my top 10.
Yeah.
You know,
One of the hardest skills to develop in magic is that fooling yourself into thinking that the trick failing doesn't matter.
Yeah.
yeah,
And you have that built in.
yeah.
You don't even have to fool yourself. It's just how you feel.
No, like we did a show in Kentucky. My finale trick went wrong, and a girl was helping on the show. She's like, "I've helped other magicians, and not last trick, but any trick, they'd be back here like banging things around, just pissed." And I was like, it took me a minute to figure out what went wrong, and now I don't care. Like I get it. I won't do that one again.
But there's one thing I want to close with,
Oh yeah,
which is I may have to start drinking.
what? You're closing with this?
There's a new liquor out, a new whiskey called Heaven's Door. Bob Dylan has a line of whiskey.
Get out of
And
town.
everybody on Twitter is going, is this what finally makes you drink? Bob Dylan's Heaven's Door. He wanted to call it Bob Dylan Bootleg,
Right.
bootleg whiskey. But the company convinced him to go to Heaven's Door. And the article in the Times,
I wish Bob Dylan's bootleg whiskey would have been awesome.
he's going to do, there'll be some special batches that are Bob Dylan's
Oh, good.
bootleg. Bob Dylan's Heaven's Door. And they interviewed, they said that it took them to get 2 years to get through his people.
Yeah.
But once they got there, and the label of it is some of his ironwork. Ah, so nice. And the picture is great. It's Bob in a bar holding the whiskey, looking very Bob.
Yeah.
And the article in the New York Times says, a lot of times people bust Bob Dylan for doing Victoria's Secret or doing this ad or that ad. And he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You can't embarrass him. But they said they actually worked with him on the taste. And they kind of thought, like George Clooney, he was going to put his name on the tequila and be done with it. But Bob insisted on meeting with them. So there's these distillers that are meeting with Bob Dylan. And he's tasting, giving him comments. And the comment that I loved, one of the comments was, and the guy said, we had trouble interpreting this. He said, it should taste a little more like you're inside a building made of wood. And they said, you mean a church, Bob? A house? A bar? He said it should be inside a building made of wood. And he said, we thought about that forever and went back and tweaked it. And he said, brought it back to Bob. He tasted it and went, yeah. Should taste like you're inside a building made of wood. So what do you think? Do I have to start drinking whiskey?
I'm still skeptical that you would enjoy it. I think it's hilarious. I mean, at this point, like,
Is whiskey the right thing to start with?
I don't drink much, and if I do it, it will be a whiskey. Like last night, there's some listeners came out to the show, so I had a whiskey with them. But it, like anything else, to get past the actual like burning fire that is alcohol, it takes a while for your tongue can appreciate the other notes of it.
I mean, they're just the poison.
Yeah,
I'm drinking poison.
right. Like I don't imagine.
And simultaneously, the study
And the things that you mix. Oh, sorry.
the new study just came out that no amount of liquor is good for you.
Oh, yeah.
They were used to say like one drink a day was good.
Yeah.
They don't say that anymore.
No. And then like, but you can mix it stuff like that. But all the mixers you don't like either, really.
What are
I
the
guess
mixers?
I mean, it's typically like a whiskey and Coke or a whiskey and whatever, whiskey and club soda. But I don't think you'd like any of that.
No.
It's funny that you try. It seems like this notion of you either smoking pot or drinking beer or booze or getting drunk comes up more and more.
It does, yeah. Well, I've been thinking about this book. That's why.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got this
yeah.
book, People and Things I Hate.
Yes.
And I'm thinking of trying a lot of stuff that I really dislike.
for the sake of a book. Yeah.
Yeah, for the sake of a book and for the sake of pushing myself.
Yeah. Just
So I am thinking about it. It's still not serious.
no.
But I'm still thinking about it.
But it's certainly like the odds. Bob Dylan putting out a whiskey certainly changed the odds at Vegas. Vegas odds makers.
A friend of mine who's also a teetotaler
Yeah.
just sent me an email that just said, "How about you, me, a pack of smokes, and a bottle of Bob?" See, bottle of Bob is pretty great.
Yes. Bob is nice. It's a good shorthand.
You did a song called Copper Kettle, which is just a recipe for making whiskey. How you do the mash and stuff. How you build a still.
I'm curious. The thing is, like, I think the actual stuff that goes into that culture, I think you'd like. Because, like, I know you're a museum guy, and, like, those kinds of tours and stuff like that, I do find fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're curious about the barrier that you've held for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you actually are curious about being drunk or have an inclination to want to be drunk.
I don't think so.
I don't think that's something that's in your... Whereas I think the weed thing, I think there's a part of you that's curious what drugs are like. I don't think you're curious what being drunk is like. I think you are curious about what being high is like.
Yeah, well, here's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
What if I like it and I've wasted my whole life?
Yeah. As a guy who's looking at you, knowing that you drink 16 shots of decaf espresso at a Starbucks,
Yeah.
I'm also worried. I'm also worried you might like it.
Yeah. I might just say,
I bet Teller and Glenn and Emily are a little worried too.
I'm sorry. Penn's not here right now. If you want to leave a message, good luck. The Penn that you know is gone forever. Lou Reed used to speculate on what kind of drunk I would be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He said you would not be morose or maudlin. You would be mean. Just a mean drunk.
That's
I think
hilarious.
I agree with that.
I'm curious. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, you know why Hitler didn't drink.
Why?
Made him really mean. I love that joke. It's good, solid joke.
It is a good joke.
But I mean, there you go. Bob Dylan's put out. Bob Dylan. It's like $300 a bottle. Is that right? What about 300, 500, something?
You absolutely would not say no to Dylan wanting to share some of his booze with you.
I would say no.
You would say no.
It'd have to be a conscious decision in advance. I wouldn't do it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
If I was just sitting around with Bob, it wouldn't happen.
Oh, okay.
Just not the kind of guy I am.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I'm just curious about it. Yeah.
Okay, well, if I was going to drink whiskey,
Yeah.
drink it with Bob Dylan.
Right.
If I was going to smoke dope, Willie Nelson, who would be the guy? Snoop.
All those count. Willie Nelson's a fine choice as well.
You think Snoop's a better choice than Willie Nelson?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think the story is going to be better.
And in terms of like where this debate started with, now that weed's legal in so many places, you really don't stand a chance. Like the whiskey has not gotten more potent in crazy ways over the last decade. Marijuana has. It's crazy what they do with that stuff now.
It's strong.
Oh, it's so strong, and in different directions, different specific directions. They've really figured it all out.
If I have 20 gummy bears,
No, don't you dare. Do not eat 20. Do not start with edibles, or if you do, don't start with 20 edibles.
I don't even know what the dosage is.
No one does.
But Maureen Dodd in
Yeah.
the New York Times, she did eating edibles in her hotel room and ended up naked,
Yeah.
crawled up on the floor screaming.
Edibles are strong.
Have you had edibles?
Yeah. It's like a different drug. Although now with the way they make weed, it's smoking is pretty crazy now too. Yeah. I was no way. When I was younger and I used to smoke a lot, it was terrible stuff. Stuff that people wouldn't even look at today. And now if I even take a puff of something, it's gone. It's crazy strong.
Have you smoked dope?
Nope.
Never.
Nope.
Would you smoke dope with Snoop?
Nope. Although, since it's been legal, I've bof hotboxed here a lot.
Yeah.
And
Which
you,
is
Like most of the
enough
stations,
people smoking around you that you end up...
and you feel it?
most of the lower casino elevators are reeking of it all the time now.
Yeah. In the parking lot, right? Like, I don't know even how to feel, but like the parking lot will reek of weed when you pull into every parking lot now.
Yeah.
And you still have this like, whoa, 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 what's going on here kind of thing, because it used to be illegal. And technically it is illegal still to smoke in the parking lot, but the fact that they purchased it from a dispensary, like talking to Uber drivers and stuff, like they're driving people to dispensaries left and right. It's one of the big stops they're making. I thought it wouldn't have that large of an effect here, and I was very wrong.
Is it just medical? Is recreational here?
It's recreational here with a lot of weird, strict laws still about it. But those like technically, you're not supposed to drink on the street either, and we just don't enforce.
I see.
So there's just a lot of lax enforcement on some weird, strict laws about it still. But the general, you can drive to a dispensary, pull in and buy. That's all good here.
Well, we'll find out maybe someday.
If I see a picture of gummy bears up on your Twitter feed, I'm so worried.
Yeah, but see, Bob Dylan wine, who would care?
No.
But Bob Dylan whiskey,
Yeah.
3 different kinds. He's thought it out.
I'm very curious about it. I want to get me some.
Maybe I need a bottle of Bob Dylan whiskey. Maybe I should just buy it and have it there in case I ever want it.
Just ready, like in case of emergency.
Yeah.
Like keeping like a Saint Bernard barrel or something
Yeah.
for you.
Well, there we go. We covered a lot today.
Yeah, we did.
That was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked. And now they know where it's from, right?
Yes.
All right.
music of the spheres.
Revolution number 9. Who says it's a woman's voice? But I don't think it's Yoko. Who says you become naked?
I don't know. He's looking it up.
Sunday School. Bottoms up, Bob. Bottoms up.
How fast is Google?
That was Penn Sunday School.
Oh, does it say who? Shoot.
Even if I'm a mean drunk, I still love you.
I have a eulogy request.
Yes, oh dear.
Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary. Tra la 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 la.
Oh dear, yeah, I know. We didn't talk about that at all.
Nope.
Let's talk about that next week.
Next week? Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about Bob Duro. I'll put that right on my list.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.